in the MLB, and they have not really woken up yet. Matt Chapman hasn't been himself. Teoscar Hernandez has been awful.
Well, he's on the interstate. It's like 147, I-47 he's on. Yeah, it's bad for him. They got a couple more that could do a little more. I think Bichette could hit a little more. I like his pop, though. And
Vlad, at some point.
And he hit one. Guerrero hit one that might be intersecting with Danny Babe Ruth Jansen's 2 home runs last night. You know Danny Babe Ruth Jansen for the Blue Jays, don't you? Danny Jansen, middle name Babe Ruth? It should be with those 2 shots he hit.
Danny Babe Ruth Jansen?
Yeah.
There you go. That's first I've heard of that.
Or Danny Johnny Bench Jansen.
So overall, a good stay in St. Louis, though, for a couple days.
Good stay. Got my split, but took my all-time record winning percentage down to 593, below 600. 38-26.
Oh no.
593.
Oh gosh. We're praying for you. That
Thank
gets
you.
better. Next time you visit St. Louis.
Well, it'll either be in the fall or in 2023 because that's it for this year.
I hear you. First out of our show brought to you by Lexus of Memphis, and we have a lot to get to today. NBA playoffs, Western Conference Finals. Last night, Mavs, they don't get swept. So I ended up it
showed some heart.
Yeah, they showed a little bit of heart. Series now at 3-1, headed back to the Bay. Eastern Conference Finals is tied at 2-2. Game 5 in Miami. Game 5 winner tells you the winner of the series 82% of the time. We've brought up that stat a whole lot through these playoffs. We'll see who that favors tonight, the Heat or the Celtics. We'll also bring on Colin Ward-Henninger from CBS Sports to talk all NBA playoffs at 5 o'clock. John Morant, on the other hand, obviously out of the playoffs, the Grizzlies, we know that. We've been feeling it, watching these Western Conference Finals unfold the way they have. But he makes his first all-NBA team. He was second team alongside the likes of Joel Embiid, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and DeMar DeRozan. I don't mind
first of many.
I don't mind Ja being mentioned alongside those guys. And something tells me he'll still feel slighted for being second team. I know what he ended up playing around 60 games this year. He'll still feel slighted.
I wish we had the soundboard where we could hit the Michael Jordan line.
That's all I needed.
And I took it very personally.
That's all I needed.
And I took that very personally.
But we will discuss his season, some of the records he dropped for the Grizzlies, and what this means for Ja and the Grizzlies going forward.
First of how many? When it's all over on Ja Morant night and
who knows?
Whenever, and you're reading all the resume, the back of the basketball card plaudits. 16-time NBA. Wouldn't that be
That's
great?
a lot. That's a lot. He has that opportunity.
I'd sign up for anything double digits right now, wouldn't y'all?
I'd sign up.
Would you sign up for 10 right now? 10-time All-NBA.
I would absolutely sign up for 10.
7-time All-Star, 3-time MVP,
if you told me,
and 3-time World Champion for the Memphis Grizzlies on Ja Morant night, number 12.
Would you not sign up for 4 or 5 even?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, 1 just leaves that taste in your mouth where you want more. You get to 4 or 5, even 6, I'll sign up for that. But Ja Morant has a lot ahead of him.
A Grizzlies front office person told me when he was drafted, he will end up being the biggest thing here sports-wise by 25 miles when he's done.
We're on that trajectory.
Sure are.
And also that contract he's going to sign in the summer just went up because of this All-NBA.
We got banks.
Yeah. There's money. The Grizzlies have money. We know about that. Last night, HBO's Real Sports with Brian Gumbel had to sit down with Ashley Solis and Kyla Hayes. They're both Deshaun Watson accusers. They discussed their run-ins with the Browns QB. We will have to play some of that sound later in the show and discuss what was very tough to watch last night.
I didn't see it on the scathing meter, just watching it, the cringe meter with 10 being, oh, boy, he looks very guilty. Where were you, Gabe? You got a good antenna.
To be honest with you, this is going to sound bad. I'm just going to say how I feel about it. I expected it to be worse. I would put it at about a 7.
That's
6 or 7.
up there.
6 or 7. Well, the subject matter, Brett,
well, sure.
in general is going to get it up there. But to be honest with you,
compared to Trevor Bauer, it reads like the Boy Scout handbook.
But there is 22 women we're talking about. I mean,
That's
just
it.
the pure quantity is unreal. But dare I say, there wasn't much I didn't know that was dropped last night, if that makes sense. And obviously not everybody's as privy to the reports and reads the reports like I do or you do.
So that may work in his favor that the public has mostly digested the salacious nature of it.
Yeah. So we'll see how it unfolds and how the public takes it, but we'll discuss that later in the show.
Gabe, we do as a society, both sports and otherwise, and we're sure going to get to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We, for good or for bad, we have a short attention span, and then we become almost desensitized to the next, whether it's a salacious charge around sports or it's like what occurred yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Collectively, we are almost, sadly, morbidly used to it.
Mm-hmm. We become numb.
No.
We move on, and we'll talk about what took place in Texas.
And the totality of it, if you had 9/11 on 9/11, 9/12, 9/13, it may not have that impact.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, on these shootings, I didn't think anything would ever approach Sandy Hook. We were doing our Toys for Tots fundraiser that day at Humdinger's, and I swear I think it was our greatest day ever for Toys for Tots because I think people were so moved.
Yeah,
they wanted to go do something for someone else that day.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. I obviously not trying to move on from that.
No,
but I do have to lay out the rest of the show.
We're going to address it
real quick. We have some MLB news also on top of everything I have discussed. Golf discussion and picks with John going at 4. And on top of all that, Alex Kuhn at 3:30. And way back Wednesday, Brett has 4 questions for me from back in the day. We'll get to that at the bottom of Hour 2. AutoZone listener line 901-360-8255. Get in the zone, AutoZone. You can also watch us live and message us on our social, Sports56WHBQ, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and go to our website, Sports56WHBQ.
But this is one of those days. There are too many of these days, way too many over this type of incident. But I know people that may just be casually joining in, like right now, and then maybe it will come back at 3:47 and then back at 4:20. And they may not, that you're not going to hear us all day talking about it. You're not. You're going to hear us from now until 6 o'clock, mostly talking sports. It's what we're built for. It's what we do. And I feel like on days like this, of course, recognize it. But also, I know for me, this is the day that I want to get away from the real world.
Yep.
I want to get to hits, runs, and errors. Mm-hmm. So I hope people never confuse. Well, listen to those bozos. They don't have a clue what's going on in the real world. We know.
On a day like today,
and if I could change it, I would.
I certainly think it's disingenuous not to at least approach the subject because sports and the real world cross over a whole lot these days. And you have people speaking.
They have historically
speaking up on things that they believe in,
good and bad,
and how they feel, good and bad. Now, obviously, Uvalde, Texas, yesterday, Robb Elementary, 18-year-old, goes in and guns down 19 kids and 2 teachers. And we were getting ready for an NBA playoff game, Western Conference Finals, Game 4, between the Mavericks and the Warriors. And Steve Kerr, some may like him, some may dislike him, but he does speak up for what he believes in. And this is what he had to say before the game yesterday.
I'm not going to talk about basketball. Nothing's happened with our team in the last 6 hours. We're going to start the same way tonight. Any basketball questions don't matter. Since we left shoot-around, 14 children were killed 400 miles from here, and a teacher. And in the last 10 days, we've had elderly black people killed in a supermarket in Buffalo. We've had Asian churchgoers killed in Southern California. And now we have children murdered at school. When are we going to do something? I'm tired. I'm so tired of getting up here and offering condolences to the devastated families that are out there. I'm so tired of I'm tired of the moments of silence. Enough. There's 50 senators right now who refuse to vote on H.R. 8, which is a background check rule that the House passed a couple of years ago. It's been sitting there for 2 years. And there's a reason they won't vote on it, to hold on to power. So I ask you, Mitch McConnell, I ask all of you senators who refuse to do anything about the violence and school shootings and supermarket shootings, I ask you, are you going to put your own desire for power ahead of the lives of our children and our elderly and our churchgoers? Because that's what it looks like. It's what we do every week. So I'm fed up. I've had enough. We're going to play the game tonight, but I want every person here, every person listening to this to think about your own child or grandchild or mother or father or sister, brother. How would you feel if this happened to you today? We can't get numb to this. We can't sit here and just read about it and go, well, let's have a moment of silence. Yeah, go Dubs, you know. Come on, Mavs, let's go. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go play a basketball game. And 50 senators in Washington are going to hold us hostage. Do you realize that 90% of Americans, regardless of political party, want background check, universal background check? 90% of us, we are being held hostage by 50 senators in Washington who refuse to even put it to a vote, despite what we, the American people, want. They won't vote on it because they want to hold on to their own power. It's pathetic. I've had enough.
And he covered it very, very well, I think, in a lot of ways. Now he got to H.R. 8, universal background checks that Congress still needs to pass through, and a lot of people agree with that. I think there's no question most people, even in our listening audience, would agree that a universal background check should be there to be able to purchase. Also, mental health checks as well. I mean, you talk about all the time mental health being the big issue. We need to increase mental health funding and try to help some people out in this country. But
I disagreed with Coach Kerr on the code. I agreed with him on this.
But
so
I think
he's not always wrong.
The biggest thing that he said that I wholeheartedly agree with. We can't become numb to this, and it's hard nowadays. You have 27 in 2022, 27 school shootings,
the saturation,
200 plus mass shootings just this year.
I was telling you before we came on, I'm just learning the stories of the individuals in Buffalo. 77-year-old woman shopping at that supermarket. She used to go every Saturday, would shop on Saturday to prepare the big Sunday feast for her family, grandkids, extended family after they attended church. How sad.
The individual stories are just
and now
disgusting.
Seeing the photos of the school photos, not any other thing with the crime scene, but school photos of the decedents in Texas is just heartbreaking.
I think mental health checks. People are going to ask, what does a background check, a mental health check, do to prevent something like?
Let's kick some tires.
You don't
Let's
know.
find out.
But you have to at least address the fact that something has to change. You can't continue to let this happen. School used to be a place where you would think your kids are without question going to be safe, going to be protected.
Maybe a tornado.
Something like that. But we have intruder drills. We have active
We
shooter
used to have atomic
drills.
bomb lessons.
We have an insane amount. This is a uniquely American thing.
We got under our desk. I don't think it was going to save us.
Yeah, no. That A-bomb was going to get you regardless. But we have to at least address something needs to change. And I know that we bicker back and forth in this country. That's what we do best, to be honest with you.
Don't we? Got to own somebody, don't we?
But I think, like Steve Kerr said, and if you go check the numbers on some of these things, I would say 85 to 90% of the people in this country agree that we need to do something. The extent of what needs to be done, we don't know. We don't know what actually helps. There is some empirical data out there that says certain things help, whether it's an AR ban, whether it's background checks, mental health evaluations. But 90% of this country agrees that we need to fix something, and we need to go ahead and do that.
Very busy Wednesday for us. We welcome you in. We want you to be a part of it. The AutoZone text line, chat line, 901-360-8255. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com, the one and only Lexus dealership in town. Give them a call at 901-334-9673 for any service inquiry. Great offers on all 2022 models and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2022 flagship LS500. You'll be looking and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at LexusOfMemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Now, it's always going to be a tough transition coming to from something like that, especially on this show. But once that game actually started, I continue to say what I have to say about these conference finals. They have not been good.
Just haven't been interesting.
They just have not been great after three quarters. And I even called
I'm glad
this
I've
yesterday.
been busy
And you know what, Brett? I had a feeling it would be that way, too. It was 99-70 after the third quarter. Now, the backups that the Warriors put in when they sort of gave up in that game brought it back to within 8.
And that's not
at
just
one
Grizzlies fandom and disinterest. These games
It's
have been
just-
in and of themselves disinteresting.
Yeah, they have. And I don't think a lot of people necessarily disagree with that sentiment. 99-70 after three quarters is disinteresting. Now, the Warriors tried to make a comeback with those backups, but you knew what was going to happen. The not the Grizzlies. The Warriors seem to have this thing going where if they have a chance to close it out on the road, they wait one more game so they can get back to the Bay and then close it out there for what is it about?
Cash.
What do you think, about $15 million game day revenue for the Warriors and Joe Lacob and all those higher ups? So obviously
Well, that'd pay the note, won't it?
It transitions to a Game 5 in the Bay. And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to call it right now. I'm fully expecting a closeout.
My top story right there. No brooms last night. Dallas staves off the sweep and elimination. Odds aren't with them, but pivotal, all-important Game 5 tonight. Give us a good game between Miami and Boston. Celtics, 2.5-point favorite on the famed parquet at TD Garden in downtown Boston. Historically, Boston, for a long, long time, about 80 years, they've been really good in this spot. But Larry Bird, John Havlicek, Bill Russell, and Paul Pierce, they might walk through the door tonight, but they're not suiting up. These Celtics have to make the name for this team. That's the mission for them tonight.
Not top story of the day.
For me, that's watching HBO's Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel, and it was Soledad O'Brien on the interviews, but it was on Deshaun Watson, Ashley Solis, and Kyla Hayes, two of Watson's accusers, were being interviewed last night. Ashley Solis, and we're going to play some sound later in the show from Ashley Solis because it was very, very tough to watch her sort of testimony of what happened when she was talking to Soledad O'Brien. But she says the $230 million contract that was given to Deshaun Watson was just the most massive screw you right into all of the accusers' face at that moment. Now, at the end of the whole thing, Leah Graham, who's one of Watson's attorneys on the case, she was speaking on behalf of Rusty Hardin. They're trying to discredit some of the accusers because some of the accusers stayed in contact with Deshaun Watson through the process. But also, more than anything last night, there were questions raised on Tony Busby, of course, the plaintiff's attorney, but about his credibility. And what Leah Graham had to say, there's 22 women, one lawyer. She said there's no surprise. No one else wanted to take the case. And she said, and she claims, and this is what Rusty Hardin and the defense team is sticking to, they say that he is the one trying to raise his prominence, notoriety, and influence. So this has been a strange back and forth. We finally got to hear from some accusers last night. I would tell people to go watch it to inform themselves.
So they're saying he's swinging for the fences, kind of a la Michael Avenatti.
Yes, that's sort of that's the card they're playing right now. But we'll see how the public reacts to this and how this transitions into this summer when we will see the NFL make a decision on punishment for Deshaun Watson.
My not top story, we barely touched on it yesterday, and I want to really get some input today. If you could only have one of these games, we got to it maybe too late yesterday. Tiger fans, if you could only have one of these two, which one do you prefer? Now, don't tell. I'd like both too, but I don't think that's workable. And right now we have neither. So if we could only have one, would it be Tigers or U of L? Would it be Tigers versus Cardinals or Tigers versus Razorbacks? That's the whole basketball scheduling debate. I guess the UT series irrevocably damaged, but even if the coaches hate each other, shouldn't it be about what the fans, the folks, Vox Populi, the payers, the people that travel to see these games, shouldn't that matter? Because it's over for right now with Tigers and Ole Miss in football. It's been over with Tigers and Tennessee in football. I won't get interesting games in this area, especially with $4.50 gasoline.
I hear you. I hear that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. We get to our first break. When we come back, bring on my brother Alex Kuhn from KGYM Radio in Cedar Rapids. We talk everything under the sun with him. We can talk some Deshaun Watson, have some NBA playoffs to discuss with him. We'll do that next on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
The weather and the deals are heating up over at Gossett Kia Covington Pike, and we're ready to put you in a new ride today. Take your pick. 2022 Kia Forte LXS 39 MPG Highway, $219 a month, $27.99 due at signing. Or get 2022 Kia Soul LX, $219 a month, $29.99 due at signing, both 36-month lease. And third row seating with 2022 Kia Sorento LX, $315 a month, 36-month lease, $34.99 due at signing. Plus peace of mind with Kia's 10-year 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Come see Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia 1900 Covington Pike. Online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36-month leases. Forte NE 483,548. MSRP 21,435. Soul N 7833,273. MSRP 21,140. Sorrento NG 1166,57. MSRP 31,290. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Kia. Excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 5/31/22. Dealer stock only. Warranties a limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
It's time for another season of golf at Miramichi. You know the spot, 15 minutes north of downtown in Woodstock. I call it heaven. It's 330 acres of natural beauty, 7,400 yards of championship-level golf, but there are several different tee boxes which make it fun or competitive for every level of golf. And the practice facilities are as good as any country club, and every round of golf comes with a cart and complimentary range balls. You can really improve your game, and you'll love the prices too. Seniors can play Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for as low as $33. Again, the golf cart and the range balls are thrown in. The standard weekday rates are as low as $44. Friday, it's $50, and on Sunday, it's $55. You'll love the view from the terrace. You look out and see the best view in all of Shelby County. The whole experience, it's just fantastic. Go check it out yourself at Miramichi.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
If you have damage to your home and have your insurance carrier involved, you need a great contractor. You also need a team that has seen claims of all shapes and sizes, residential or commercial. After our inspection, we'll share our findings and give you our professional opinion. Some people say you get what you pay for. However, our opinion is free. Trust the name you can depend on, like the tens of thousands of families Brian and I have served over the past 20 years here in the Mid-South. Brian Elder Roofing. We'll measure your roof from outer space and share our team's experience for your property and claim. Repaired roofs, replacement roofs, big roofs, tiny roofs, insurance roofs, flat roofs, TPO roofs, asphalt roofs, tile roofs, slate roofs, metal roofs. If your roof needs some love, call me, 901-867-0303 for Brian Elder Roofing and Contracting.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
It's time to vacation at home with Family Leisure. That's right. Enjoy a vacation in your own backyard with a little help from Family Leisure. Like play gyms and trampolines, they're now $500 off. And those trampolines, by the way, they've got that mesh on the side, so trampolines are now safe, and you'll be the hit of the neighborhood. They've got hot tubs in stock and ready to go, and you can get up to $1,000 off when you pick them up. All kinds of do-it-yourself pool specials, like savings of up to $1,500 on all in-stock pools when you pick it up and install them yourself. And if you're looking for patio furniture, then stop on in, because they have tons in stock and they're ready for you to pick up. So get ready for that vacation at home with the help from Family Leisure. Family Leisure's Vacation at Home sale. It's happening right now at Witten Road and I-40, where family and fun truly do come together.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis.
Open the door, sit in the seat, turn the key, and go.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brent Norsworthy.
Back in on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats. I'm Gabe. He's Stats. Producing the program, of course, Brian Dacus. And joining us, as he does on a Wednesday at 3:30, is Alex Kuhn. At
31 years and 2 days.
523 from KGYM Radio in Cedar Rapids. Alex, how are you, man? Happy belated.
Thanks, guys. Feeling a little sore because
okay.
I guess I'm old now and I don't respond well to like tightness or tendonitis. I don't know what's going on now, but it's
Wait,
the
what are
ankle
you sore
problem.
from, though? What in particular?
The ankle problems just keep getting worse because now I'm 31 now, and but I'm here and I'm alive.
I got you a
guess
Cardinal win for your birthday Monday night.
You did. Unfortunately, you couldn't make Jordan Binnington come back and reappear for my birthday.
No.
No. I kid. But,
Kind of bum rushed him too.
No, it was a good birthday, and maybe another year older, another year wiser. I don't let my favorite sports teams losing dampen my mood.
Right. So real quick, you say you're sore and you have ankle issues. Is it from stick and puck? What are you sore from?
No, I just
Just in general, you just woke up out of bed.
It's always, yeah, literally.
Trust
Wake
me,
up
it doesn't get
randomly,
better.
ankle problems.
I get you. I'm the one that should have the ankle problems, though. I have real ankle problems, Al. I'll tell you what. I got scar tissue built up in these things.
The great thing about the modern player today, I mean, if you have that devastating knee injury, just think where where the technology of all this is going. I mean, you're not gonna. I mean, you're probably gonna have knee replacement, but think where that's going.
Look where Jamison Williams is already.
Yeah.
After tearing his stuff at the end of the year with Alabama.
It's still
that's amazing.
Bo Jackson out there playing Major League Baseball in the earliest state days of hip replacement.
Yeah, it's crazy, and I think about this now, and people don't understand that with lower extremity issues, one thing leads to another. So it's an ankle at first. Well, then you're overcompensating and it's your hip. Well, then you're overcompensating and it's your knee. So when you hear people play through it, there are real consequences to that happening sometimes, and that's why you see devastating injuries like the one we saw to Kevin Durant a few years ago, or Boogie Cousins, or just players in that realm, Derrick Rose, for that matter, where you rush back too quickly and you're not 100% and you're overcompensating.
Yep.
And that's when bad things really happen.
Because your ankle bone is connected to your knee bone, and your knee bone is connected to your hip bone, and your hip bone.
It all works together, Gabe. And with Major League Baseball, it's always been true of anything with a pitcher. A toe, Dizzy Dean's broken toe. He threw his arm out because he was landing funny.
Yeah.
I mean, Catfish Hunter had an injury to a ankle or a toe. Anything lower extremity, and they start landing differently.
Yeah.
There goes the elbow.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, definitely. So it's why professional athletes, they go see the chiropractor very quickly if they're having any type of trouble. But yeah, sorry, I digress. I know that was a diatribe of me being old now and waking up with soreness.
You just got to ice up. Just got to ice up and get ready for the next day. That's all that is. Now,
I do. More stretching.
Yes, more stretching. Foam roller too. You ever had a foam roller? You ever used a foam roller? They're fantastic.
I have a foam roller.
Yoga.
I also have this. I have the Theragun now, which is
the
Theragun.
Yeah, Theragun is game changing. Now, let's get into it. NBA Finals or Conference Finals. What have you thought game to game from what you've seen? We have made the statement, and I think a lot of people have made the statement, that we really haven't seen a good game yet out of either series.
I see a Golden State team that's ready to win a championship. I see a Dallas team that's, you know what, overmatched, but I kind of expected a gentleman's sweep in this series anyway. And I expected them to win last night, and then we will see Golden State in short order in a couple of days in San Francisco in that series. But I see a Boston team that is just like the prototypical really good team that is trying to win a championship, and it's not always pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're from game to game, you just don't know what to expect from the Boston Celtics. And I do think, to a certain extent, the Miami Heat have been underrated in this series. I think Jimmy Butler is a consistently underrated player, but the roller coaster of one game to another with the Celtics, they're either a really, really good team or they look terrible.
Right.
And I think that they should win this series. I think that they should win tonight and then wrap things up in Boston in game number 6 because they're actually the more healthy team. And now we're starting to hear rumblings that the Miami Heat may have COVID issues on top of the injury issues that they're already dealing with. But that the team that can get in the way of them of the Celtics in the series is themselves.
Yep.
And that has happened in 2 games in the series.
And it feels like, and I love Jason Tatum, obviously from St. Louis, fantastic player. But I feel like a lot of their inconsistencies come from him. He's the guy who, when you look at how that team is discussed in the national light, the triple T movement, top 10 Tatum, is he a top 10 player in the NBA, that whole thing. It feels like he needs to take a step in these playoffs and show a little bit more consistency because he has duds. He has duds once a series that caused the Celtics to lose games.
And I guess that's really the problem with how the Celtics are made up. Like they're a much better ball movement team than they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
But if Jason Tatum is not going, well, they don't have a really good shot of winning.
Mm-hmm.
And if let's say they do beat the Heat, what are their chances going to be against the Golden State team that really has ratcheted up their intensity,
right?
Especially offensively in the last 4 games, and they're starting to get right, and they're starting to. You have to play potentially 3 games in San Francisco. Are you going to win any of them if you're the Celtics and Jason Tatum? Jason Tatum has got to play well for the Celtics to be good, and that's still kind of the downside of the Celtics and the question as to whether or not they're going to have a realistic shot of beating the Warriors in the finals if, in fact, they get past Miami.
But because when the Celtics have looked bad against Miami, I don't know that it's that much Miami making them look bad or just about anybody maybe could get that game out of them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you saw them against the wounded Milwaukee team, it was up and down, but here's the deal. If Jason Tatum scores 10 points, Boston's not going to win a lot of games. And they sure as heck will not win any of those games.
Yep.
Is he fully formed superstar right now? Or are we still waiting for the final result?
He's. I think that rings are obviously important, but I don't think that I need to wait until somebody wins one to call them a superstar. I think he's kind of he is, and I think Jimmy Butler is, but he needs to win this series. That's first and foremost. Like we talk about, I talked about the fact last night with a friend of mine that some of the best stretch of basketball that I ever saw LeBron James play was the year that they got swept in the finals by Golden State. They beat Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals, and he was playing just out of his mind. And then that first game against Golden State, they had a really good chance of winning it, and it was the J.R. Smith game. What do people remember about those playoffs? Do they remember that LeBron was playing incredible basketball, or do they remember the J.R. Smith game and the sweep? The answer is they remember the J.R. Smith game and the sweep. So Luka Doncic has had a great playoffs, but if they get that, when they get knocked out of the playoffs, I feel like it's going to kind of be forgotten. And Jason Tatum has been in that spot where he's getting bounced in the playoffs. Now he's in the conference finals. They have every chance and every advantage in this series. So for that next step in his career, that legacy talk that we always talk about, this is crucial for Jason Tatum and the Celtics to win this series. And they can worry about Golden State next, but win this series first.
Alex, if you had to bet this time next year, which one of these two would you be more prone to bet on being in conference finals? Jason Tatum in the East with Boston or Luka Doncic with Dallas in the West?
Definitely Jason Tatum.
Definitely. I mean,
in the East.
Who knows? This could be the only time Doncic gets this close to the NBA Finals, because here comes the West, and here comes different names in the future in the West, like Minnesota, like New Orleans, Memphis, a constant.
Yeah, and on top of that, like they were a year. They're kind of a little ahead of schedule this year getting the conference finals. They reminded me a little bit of the Atlanta Hawks a year ago, and Atlanta took a little bit of a step back this year. So you never know what type of off-season moves that they're going to make. But they have to get better around Luka Doncic.
Yes.
Now they got rid of Kristaps, and that's a good start. But the West is just brutal. And you start with the best overall culture in the NBA, and that's the Golden State Warriors. It is just amazing to see a team like that where they drafted most of those guys, and the guys that they brought in, like an Andrew Wiggins, a huge disappointment in Minnesota, is playing a perfect role for them right now on a championship contender.
Mm-hmm.
Steph Curry, Steve Kerr, that front office, they've drafted just better than anybody else.
Draymond.
They've developed better than anybody else. And they're showing you this year that they don't need – when they signed Kevin Durant, everybody was like, oh, well, that's unfair. It's unfair that they did it. And I get it. Like, yeah, it was unfair to the rest of the league because they were going to be way better
one signing,
than the rest of the league. But guys, they drafted everybody other than Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
And they had all these superstars, and somehow, some way, they were in a good enough cap situation to go out and make a signing to bring in a top 5 player in the world. So the argument against them doing that is, no, it's unfair. You're too good of an organization. You're doing your job too well. It would just be unfair if you brought in a better player. Who cares that you drafted all these players and developed them and still were in a good enough financial situation where you could go out and spend money on a max contract player, something nobody else can do. It's totally unfair. And that was the argument.
Mm-hmm.
And it's showing right now that Golden State is just kind of a cut above the rest of the league as far as organizational development right now.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the Spurs way.
Yeah. And also back to Stat's original question about Mavs and Luka or Jason Tatum in Boston. Obviously Jason Tatum in Boston, because the Mavs right now with Luka Doncic, I think you're a top 6 seed every year. You throw it out there, you'll probably be a top 6 seed. But if you don't add anything, if you don't go get another star to put next to him, especially with Jalen Brunson likely out the door this offseason, you that's what you're going to be. That's your cap, is being the top 6 seed.
And because there are some teams in the Western Conference, like the Memphis Grizzlies, who have followed the script, not followed the script, but gone the similar direction as the Golden State Warriors and some other teams that they're gonna draft guys. They hit the lottery. They got their franchise-changing superstar, and they've built a solid core group around him of super role players. And I think that the days of 2 or 3 max contracts, superstar players, and just relying on those guys and not having a bench and having
Lakers.
a completely – the Lakers. I think those days are over. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's a way to win in the NBA anymore.
Mm-hmm. Talking with Alex Kuhn, last thing for you, Al. What last night we had HBO Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel on the Deshaun Watson case with Soledad O'Brien. They talked with Ashley Solis and Kyla Hayes, 2 of his accusers. What was your reaction to it, and what do you think, and I know it's hard to tell at this moment, what do you think the ultimate sort of decision from the NFL will be on if Deshaun Watson will get a suspension this year?
I did not catch it.
Okay.
So plenty of stuff going on yesterday that
course.
sort of stole my attention.
No
but
question.
I think that it's going to be interesting because we're seeing precedents from other leagues of very harsh penalties for these types of cases. And will the NFL feel like they have to come down hard on Deshaun Watson because the precedent has been set by Major League Baseball and by other leagues that it doesn't matter if there's any type of criminal complaint or not. The NFL or the leagues do their own investigations and they're going to come up with their own punishment. So I don't know what the NFL is going to do, but they're in a very pressure-packed situation based on the precedents that other leagues have set and how they respond to sexual assault allegations.
Mm-hmm. He is Alex Kuhn at Alex Kuhn 523 on Twitter from KGYM Radio in Cedar Rapids. Al, you have a good one, man. And by the way, did the second part of your gift get delivered yet? Did you get?
It has. I don't believe so yet.
Okay.
Or actually, the FedEx truck just showed up. So
Yes. Okay. Let me know. Text me. Let me know if it gets.
I will.
All right, man.
Thank you, Alex.
All right, guys. Talk to you later.
You got
Appreciate it.
Alex Kuhn with us from KGYM in Cedar Rapids, talking really a lot of different subjects. Brett Norsworthy here for FanDuel, the NBA playoffs. Red hot, and you can make every game feel like Game 7. Tonight feels like Game 5 in Miami, not on the parquet, in Miami. Thank you, Dave. Dave corrected me with a text. Thank you. Game 7s are fun, but Game 5 will be real fun tonight because we know what the odd number games, what they mean in the NBA playoffs. And throughout the playoffs, all customers can place a no-sweat same-game parlay each week. You'll get up to $20 in free bets if you don't win. FanDuel, with so many ways to play, and best of all, when you do win, you'll get paid faster than a slam dunk. New to FanDuel, just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up with promo code CASH to get your first bet risk-free up to $1,000. Once again, that's promo code CASH. Let's take a swing at a same-game parlay like this. I like Boston minus the 2.5 on the road. I like the over 204, and I like Jason Tatum's over on made number of 3-point shots. If you already have an account, you're all set to bet. No sweat. Either way, you'll get up to $20 in free bets if your same-game parlay during the playoffs does not win. FanDuel Sportsbook, an official partner of the NBA, must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Refund issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max free bet, $20 per week. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
That's a very fitting read for FanDuel because we have to get to a break. And when we come back, we talk about Game 5 of this series, obviously in Miami. Celtics visiting. Whoever wins that Game 5 when it's 2-2 goes on to win that series 82% of the time. We'll talk about it when we come back on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
You have opinions?
You bet.
Of course you do. Everyone does. Hit us up on the AutoZone listener line, 360-8255, 360-8255.
Golfers, tee it up this year at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the hottest new arrivals from Callaway. Featuring the new Rogue ST drivers, Callaway's most stable driver ever, with tungsten speed cartridge, jailbreak speed frame, and AI flash face. Engineered for max speed and forgiveness. 4 different models to fit every golfer's needs. Think speed? Go Rogue. Swing by Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get custom fit for the new Rogue ST drivers today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, and shop us online at worldwidegolfshops.com.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, Orco hard coolers, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
The NBA playoffs is the world's greatest celebration of basketball. Hennessy champions the moves players are making on and off the court because true greatness is making a long-term impact on your community. Make moves that start movements. Hennessy, the spirit of the NBA. Please enjoy Hennessy responsibly.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis.
Absolutely spectacular design, spared no expense.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals is tonight, 7:30 on ESPN. And this has been such a hard series to follow, not just because of the injuries. Everybody on the Heat.
I'm still not for anybody.
Right.
I'm not again either.
And for the Celtics is still, we've had Marcus Smart miss some time, Robert Williams miss some time. Both those guys still remain questionable. So the injuries have been tough. But it's been Game 1 went to the Heat. Game 2 goes to the Celtics. Game 3 goes to the Heat. Game 4 goes to the Celtics. The Celtics remain undefeated after a loss in these playoffs. And I just can't get a beat on which way this series will ultimately go. Now, the Celtics I picked before the series to win in 6, but they do this thing, and they have so many lulls offensively that I have grown to not trust them as much as I did going into these playoffs.
Yeah. Before you moved to Memphis, did you have an NBA team?
No.
So you were kind of a fully formed NBA fan carved out of the Grizzlies.
You know, it's funny when I get asked it. It's more about following the stars when you're not in a city that has an NBA team. You follow the storylines and the stars more than you actually follow the teams themselves. So obviously LeBron got a lot of my TV time. Kobe got a lot of my TV time. Dirk got a lot of my TV time, but I didn't have a favorite team or player.
I always had a team. I've talked about, kind of most of the 70s and into the 80s even. I call myself a Knicks fan, really more 70s than 80s. And then when Penny got to the Orlando Magic, really became an Orlando Magic. I liked the Milwaukee Bucks in there because they had Sidney Moncrief, but kind of gung-ho for anybody. And I wasn't anti-Bulls, but I didn't jump on that bandwagon because I wasn't naturally a Bulls fan. But I wasn't a Celtics fan, and a lot in this area They were and are. I mean, a lot of years I see some of the same people. The one and only time the Celtics come through, they only come through one time a year to play the Grizzlies, and this year it was late in the year. That's the only game they go to all year.
Mm-hmm. I understand. And the Celtics are just that historical
that brand.
franchise. They're that brand. But in this series in particular, I don't know if I have anybody that I'm really going for. I tend to agree.
I want a good game.
I want a good game, and we haven't gotten that yet. We're talking about 20-point game last time out, a 6-point game that was really a 20-point game with about 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Another 25-point game in game 2, and game 1 was an 11-point game. I just need to see some consistency from one of these two teams.
I love Mike Breen. But I don't think Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy in a blowout are very good because I think they too often turn in to New York talk radio kind of going at each other. Mm-hmm. And Mike Breen has to try to keep them on the track.
Yeah,
So I want a good game where they're just doing analysis and not kind of in fill mode.
Yeah, my guy Van Gundy's my guy Van Gundy's a little trash talker too. When a team is not playing up to snuff.
The Van
not
Gundys
playing well.
had to have gotten the hell beat out of them as children, didn't they?
I don't know.
Talking so much stuff. Or do you think they could back it up?
I have no idea. I could.
But they talk stuff.
I've seen Stan Van, some videos of him dribbling it up the court. He's got some good dribble moves.
Really?
Yeah, Stan
SVG?
Van. I'm going to have to show you. Good old Stan Van. he played a little ball back in his day. But ultimately, let me just go ahead and pose it this way. By the end of 7 games, if we get to 7 games, who's winning this series?
I picked Boston way back when we did picks, and this decides our NBA picks champion. If Boston wins, I win. If Miami wins, Bryant wins. You've been dormant.
I got beat pretty quickly, didn't I? It stinks. That stinks. But the Celtics.
And then there's Dave with our hockey, just ruined our good time.
Yeah. The
Thanks,
Celtics.
Dave.
The Celtics need to find in the next couple of years, and I understand you're talking about 24-year-old superstars, all NBA guy, and Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown's headed that way as well. I think he's 25. You still have young guys. They have a great core, but the consistency you would think would be there. These are 4th, 5th year guys. These are guys that have been in the NBA for a while now.
A lap or two more though,
and also have experienced playoff basketball. Mm-hmm. I mean, Jason Tatum in his rookie year was
in a tough town
in the Eastern Conference
with
Finals.
high expectations. Town.
I understand the expectations, and they've been a playoff team.
And when you
consistently.
drive through the Ted Williams Tunnel, you know that town takes sports seriously.
Yeah, I understand that wholeheartedly, but the consistency has to be turned up because I look at the Celtics and the makeup they have defensively and then offensively as playmakers. They should have been able to run through the Eastern Conference with the matchups they've had. I know the Nets was tough. They didn't duck that smoke, but they won in 4 games. They swept. Last series against the Bucks without Chris Middleton. How are you struggling against that team? Honestly, I know Giannis
fortunate to pull it out.
Right, I know Giannis is a absolute, I mean, he's one of the greatest of all time. Let's be honest about it. But you have to be able to get past that team with no Chris Middleton. And then this series against the Heat, with all of the issues they've had, Tyler Hero's had to miss time. You've had a bunch of people miss time. Jimmy Butler's had to miss time. You're supposed to be able to get over this Heat team a little easier than they have. But it is what it is, and we'll see tonight, Game 5. Now, before we get to the second hour, there's one place that Memphis has been missing for a while, and that place is Bell Tavern. It's been closed down for a while, but is reopening soon, and Memphis will be a better place because of it. People have been pent up for a long, long time because of the COVID and everything else, but it's time to get back out. You know about 117 Prime on Union. I tell you guys about them every single week, but all you do to access Bell Tavern is you walk through the dining room and you access the best bar in Memphis. It's the perfect place to start your night with a gourmet bite to eat, burgers, sandwiches, and starters, and end your night with the coldest beer in town and craft cocktails that you can only find in Barbaro Alley, tucked between 2nd and Main. It is Bell Tavern. Now, we have to get to our bottom of the hour break. When we come back, we have some golf talk to get to with John Goen.
Tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the next generation of drivers, where titanium ends and the carbon age begins. Introducing the new Stealth Carbon Wood driver from TaylorMade, with 60 layers of carbon twist-based technology designed for better energy transfer and faster ball speeds. Come into Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get custom fit today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops is home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, or shop us online at worldwidegolfshops.com.
It's time to vacation at home with Family Leisure. That's right. Enjoy a vacation in your own backyard with a little help from Family Leisure. Like play gyms and trampolines, they're now $500 off. And those trampolines, by the way, they've got that mesh on the side, so trampolines are now safe and you'll be the hit of the neighborhood. They've got hot tubs in stock and ready to go, and you can get up to $1,000 off when you pick them up. All kinds of do-it-yourself pool specials, like savings of up to $1,500 on all in-stock pools when you pick it up and install them yourself. And if you're looking for patio furniture, then stop on in, because they have tons in stock and they're ready for you to pick up. So get ready for that vacation at home with the help from Family Leisure. Family Leisure's Vacation at Home sale. It's happening right now at Witten Road and I-40, where family and fun truly do come together.
In the alley since 1948, Mr. Charlie Virgo's world-famous Rendezvous. John, you and your family continue the great work at the Rendezvous. Next year will be the 75th birthday party. Let's start the party now.
Brett, there are so many visitors in town to watch the emerging Grizzlies and to see our great sights and sounds in Memphis. I see them all the time at the restaurant. I want them to know Memphis is a great foodie town. There are so many family-owned, locally-owned great restaurants that have stood the test of time. I won't mention all because the list is too long and I don't want to leave anybody out, but I will mention Jim's Place Grill because my cousins own it. It's a great restaurant and they've stood the test of time, and they are this year celebrating their 100th anniversary. And of course, any visitor that comes to Memphis needs to eat barbecue. And I've said this before, there's great barbecue all over Memphis. I know because I eat it. But if you just have one night to eat barbecue in Memphis, it should be the Rendezvous. It's such a special place with a special staff. And by the way, next year we will be celebrating our 75th anniversary.
The world-famous Rendezvous, serving Memphis in the Mid-South, and with the shipping, serving the world. At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets, with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli, with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by the Big Green Egg.
Oh, nothing but the best.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Hour 2 on a hump day is here. Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and Stats. I'm Gabe. He's Stats. If you want to join the AutoZone listener line, 901-360-8255. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Text us questions, comments, concerns. Also message us on our socials. Sports 56 WHBQ, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And go to our website, sports56WHBQ.com, for all of our featured audio and every hour of our podcast. Without further ado, let's bring in John Goen from Timber Trust Golf. We have some golf talk and some picks to get to. John, how's it going?
Hey, John.
Hey, guys. How are y'all?
Hanging in there.
Good.
We're hanging in there, John, and we got a new champion, a second-time winner of a major. Justin Thomas wins the PGA Championship. He started Sunday 7 back, got as many as 8 back. I think he thought he had lost when he didn't convert for birdie on 18, and then it happened. Mito Pereira meets Jean Van de Velde.
My gosh.
Yeah, I understand why guys were manufacturing that shot, but in that situation, I mean,
may I quote Rob Fisher? Go with the hair that brought you. Go with the hair.
Three-wood that isn't going to get you in trouble there. You know, I mean, he could have hit 3-wood down the left-hand side and been up on that plateau and not gotten the extra bit of run out. And, you know, I mean,
with that
kind of walks away.
That Lee Trevino meets Angel Cabrera half snap hook swing.
What was that swing about? That's the one thing. You think that's just nerves getting to him, or do you think he had a purpose behind swinging the club that way?
No, I think he's trying to create a fade shot. And when he's doing that, there's a lot, you know, he just has a substantial amount of body move in it. And he gets out in front of it, making sure that he doesn't, you know, I guess in essence, double cross himself and wind up hitting it left. But, you know, I mean, I don't know. He made a couple of strange, you know, kind of decisions even on Saturday. Like he laid up on 17 on Saturday and then goes for it on Sunday.
And should have made birdie.
Should have made birdie, but I don't know. I mean, I think everybody in the field went for the 17th green on Saturday except for him. I think he was the only player in the field to lay up that day.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, so it was, you know, I don't know. It was, but, you know, I mean, look, he's first time being in that position. You know, I think everything, especially as it's starting to unravel, things speed up. I think we've all been there. And, well, maybe not for a major championship.
Well,
but in our own golf
but
games, we've all been there.
It was in the fourth flight of the Far City 4-ball.
Right. And again, I mean, so it happens to all of us in our own game, you know, regardless of what we're playing.
And I hadn't slept in 3 days. So, I mean.
There's that, too.
Yeah.
He sort of had that, but he was cool, calm, and collected even through that. It seemed like it was more for his attitude through the whole thing was he was just sort of happy to be in that position. I understand.
He was the world's happiest man in defeat, wasn't he? It was kind of charming.
No, I think he probably won, you know, quite a few fans throughout the course of the week. I mean, yeah, you know, again, I think we've seen it in, you know, to your point, the Jean Van de Velde moment. I mean, we saw Rory back 9 at Augusta National with a massive lead, you know, and kind of completely falls apart, and still has yet to recover from that at Augusta National, by the way. So, you know, you hope that for Mito, that this is something that he can kind of put behind him in a fairly short period of time, and that you see more of him. I mean, clearly he has, you know, secured his card now for the balance of the year. So, I mean, now it's just going to be the focus on, you know, trying to get out there and win golf tournaments.
John, through all your years at TPC Southwind as pro and as manager, how quickly do they give the golf course the back to the members? What's the quickest turnaround the full membership can get back out there and play? What do you think?
Tuesday.
Oh, really? At Southwind, what do you think the PGA will give it back to Southern Hills?
I'm sure that there might be a little different, you know, a little bit of difference there. I mean, I would still tend to think that it would be at some point throughout the course of this week, because I'll be honest, I don't know how far in advance the PGA shut the golf course down to the membership. I remember obviously, you know, the days at Southwind. It used to be the Thursday before was the last day for play for the members, and then it moved to the Wednesday before. And now with WGC and a playoff event, I don't know whether it's still that Tuesday, Wednesday time frame, or whether they shut it down for the entire week now before time, or what. So, but it was always you'd have the FedEx Executive Invitational or some type of outing event the Monday after, and then the membership was back on Tuesday. All I remember though too is Sunday night and Monday, Jim Thomas would put anywhere from about 1 to 1.2 million gallons of water on that golf course back-to-back nights just to get it to come back because of how little water we put on it during the event. And, I'm sure that they may not be in as big of that situation because obviously the rain that they got on Saturday or Friday night. But, it looked like if the weather forecast would have held out for the balance of the week, they could have easily put that much water on that golf course because it looked firm and fast up until the rains hit. So
it was great. Do you think they've already had a group of guys go out there and try the Will Zalatoris shot off the cart path?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, are you kidding me? Absolutely. I'm sure whatever corporate events and stuff like that the PGA of America had after the event, there were guys probably trying it on Monday.
Right. Right. And Will Zalatoris, though, in both of the majors this year, tied for 6th.
Mr. Major.
At the Masters, and now 2nd. And had to go to a playoff to do that. How close is he to really breaking through and winning a major? 25 years old, 14th in the official world golf ranking.
Unflappable.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think he probably carries more out of this than he did out of Augusta.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the putt on 18 for him to get into the playoff was huge. And I think it showed with the drive that he hit on 13 in the playoff. I think in all reality, it was very, very interesting to me because literally they flipped positions between 13 and 17, right? Will hits it on the green in 2, has an eagle putt. JT drives the green on 17. Will hits I think a great shot from that, behind the bunker and everything else, has roughly a similar type putt in length that Justin Thomas had on 13. He misses, JT makes his, and that's pretty much the difference. I think obviously he wishes he would have probably hit something a little bit more penetrating into 18 to give himself a bit more of a legitimate chance to try to make birdie and pressure Justin there a little bit. But, again, it was interesting to me that Justin just didn't lose any momentum with the break, waiting for the playoff
he
to
was
start.
ready.
I mean, he was a little. I mean, obviously not the best drive on 13, but I mean, again, he hit a great third shot in there and had a really short makeable birdie putt. But then just the shot that he hits on 17 was unbelievable, and then he just rips that drive on 18. And then does what he has to do and hit it in the middle of the green. I mean, he played those 3 holes incredibly well and he just looked so confident. And so now, I mean, you hear and learn, obviously what Jim Mackay said, on Saturday evening. And so, does Justin carry a lot of confidence out of this? And does he maybe get on a bit of a roll? I mean, does he turn into your favorite now, heading into the U.S. Open and at Brookline and stuff like that? So it's going to be interesting too for me to see how Justin Thomas ends out the rest of his year. And let's face it, guys, we were all but giving Player of the Year to Scotty Scheffler.
Yep.
If Justin Thomas gets on a roll here, he is right back in the middle of it real quick.
That's right. Slow down on that. Do you like the 3-hole aggregate, John?
I do.
One's too little and 18's too much.
Sudden death in a major is ridiculous.
Yeah. Ask Kenny Perry from the 96 PGA.
Right. 3 holes seems right. I definitely don't like 18. I couldn't fathom having to come back the next day and play 18 holes to try to play for a major. Mm-hmm. But 3 holes seems about right.
How would
I
you
like the
sleep?
3 holes that the PGA picked.
Yeah, I do too. I like that. One year Lee Trevino and Jack Nicklaus were in the 18-hole playoff at a U.S. Open. And very early in the round, about the fourth hole, Lee Trevino, being Lee Trevino, hadn't shut up the whole time, and Nicholas hadn't said a word. And finally, Lee Trevino said, "You don't really talk a lot, do you?" He goes, "Nah, I just prefer to play." And Lee Trevino said, "Great, I'll do the talking, you do the playing."
Yeah, sounds about like Lee.
Mm-hmm. Now, I guess I have to get to the obligatory Tiger Woods question. He withdraws on a Saturday. Do you think that was a good move for him, considering that 9 over he shot on Saturday?
I do. I think for his long-term health, clearly he felt like that something wasn't right. And you could definitely see. I think just like it has been for Tiger over the past few years as he's tried to come back. I mean, there's a substantial impact when it goes from 90 degrees one day to 56 and the wind's blowing. It's hard to keep your body loose and warm. And, you could see that he was just absolutely struggling with that. And, I think clearly he felt it. I'm sure the competitive side of him, if it would have rebounded the next day, I would have been curious to see whether he would have stayed in. Right. If the temperatures would have been higher, the sun would have come out, I would have been curious to see whether he would have stayed in the event to try to come back with a different score the next day. But I think for, his long-term health and clearly what he is having to go through to get his body ready to even just play golf. I mean, what I heard one day, he's up at 3 a.m.
Right.
Just trying to get things moving. So, I don't have a problem with him withdrawing. Everybody wants to make a big deal out of the number, but, I don't have an issue with it at all. I mean, clearly Tiger and his past and all the majors he's won and tournaments he's won and how long he's carried the tour, I think he's kind of earned a bit of the right to where
he
can
for sure
do that.
I think he has. How about that 69 on Friday to make the cut? That was
a
something.
Grind. Because there was a point in time in that round where he could have just thrown the towel
I'm done.
in, right? I mean, he was vintage Tiger grinding it out and making a couple of birdies coming in to give himself a chance.
John, we know around here majors really increases the activity at courses, at clubs. It's just something about the magic of watching it on TV, and then you want to get out there with your buddies. Tell our listeners how they can come down to Timber Trust, enjoy your great golf course and facilities, and if the weather will break more traditional late May, warmer and drier, they can get down there and enjoy that post-major boon.
Yeah, I mean, this weekend the weather's looking absolutely incredible, and barring anything major, I think we dodged a lot more rain out of this system than what was originally forecast. So that's great from our perspective. The golf course is good. I think everybody is in the exact same boat for the most part. I mean, we're all still trying to get into a consistent pattern. I mean, it was 50-something degrees the other day in late May, and that just is not very conducive for much of anything. But golf course continues to work itself into in-season shape. We're working hard out there on conditions and everything. There's still, obviously, with it being Memorial Day weekend, we do have availability. I know also that it's kind of that first kids are out of school and let's get out of town for a little bit, but 82 on Saturday from what I've seen, 86 and 88 or so Sunday and Monday, sunshine,
Yes.
No real rain chances. So I think it'd be a great opportunity to be out here and play some golf and, enjoy obviously the event in Texas this weekend. And, but you can book your tee time at timbertrustgolf.com, or you can call us at 662-895-3530. We did have a full house last week for the 2-man. We were at 27 teams. So there are, I think, still some spots for tomorrow night. So if you wanted to do that, still give us a shout. But nice to see a bunch of guys here last week having a great time on a Thursday night. Felt a little bit more normal as we've battled with a pretty wet and cool spring. So,
and we want normal. John, abnormally for our picks through all these years of us doing golf picks, except for when you go first because you're the guest on the first picks of the year, I don't ever remember in season you having to go first. What's happened to our pro?
I think I've not been focused a lot lately.
I mean, you're out there lollygagging, playing with Scott Verplank. I mean, you need to get locked back in on picks.
I clearly, I traveled to Tulsa. I've been playing with Scott Verplank. I mean, I got nothing.
You're out there dragging the streets. We need you to get concentrated again.
We've been dragging sand on greens and everything else. I guess I just haven't been focused on my golf picks here this year. But
give us a lock.
We'll see. It's still early. I still got time. Well, let's see. This week,
good field.
It's a good field, yeah. I mean,
great course, great history.
Yep, absolutely. I took him last week. I just can't fathom. And it'll probably come back to bite me. But I don't see taking Jordan Spieth this week, although he is Mr. Texas. But I'm going to take a guy we talked about last week who actually had a pretty good PGA championship. I will take Sam Burns.
Sam Burns from LSU. He goes first. Up second. Not picking first. He brings in his own intro. Walk-up music, John.
Good Lord.
I feel like I'm in New Orleans.
Moving on up, huh?
I didn't realize we had on stage music here.
For next to last.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Brian?
I guess if I move on up, then I need to send in my request for my play-in.
I'll play it for you.
But then it's up to him.
It's in my hands then.
He's the ones and twos guy. He gets to play whatever he wants to play.
I love it, Brian.
Well, new spot for me. I've never been here before, so I don't really know what to do.
All right.
I'm glad, John, that you skipped my guy Jordan Spieth. We're going with Spieth.
Okay.
Great pick.
For the second week in a row, and I didn't get fantastic returns on him last week. I'm just going to count on him bouncing back this week. Give me Colin Morikawa.
Great
second
pick.
Straight week.
Yeah, I love all these picks. So that leaves me with the champion from.
This is that reverse psychology. Since
I love all y'all's picks. I love them.
He just took over first.
It's the new humble me in first, John. Do you like it?
It's better than the previous two that after they
lasted 2 weeks.
At least it's a little bit more tame as opposed to braggadocious.
Right. Give me the champion from Memphis last year. Had a good PGA. Played college golf at OU. Knows Texas golf course. Knows wind and drier conditions. Give me Abraham Answer.
But the problem is, John, now that he's atop our leaderboard, the first thing he brings up is you being in last. At least when I was at the top, I never trashed anybody else. Besides Brian. Brian gets
but that's
trashed
okay.
for good
Such
reason.
an
That's what I'm
outlier,
here for.
For good reason.
I mean, in all these years, John, never in late May, Memorial Weekend, have you been do-busting.
You just can't let these things bother you, fellas. You just keep your head down, keep grinding.
I hear you.
You just move on
Steady.
from week to week. You just try to get better. You just try to get better every single week. You don't let the past bother you. So you just focus on your picks.
Bob Rotella's been working with you,
Here we go. I did have an emergency session with him the other night, yes.
All right, give us your shot.
After I saw the results come out on Sunday, I called him directly. Okay, shock pick. I will take the lefty, and that's Brian Harmon.
That's really solid. A lot of people picking him to win at pick places. Bryant?
I will take Sebastian Munoz.
There you go.
That was
Munoz.
quick.
There we go. He was ready. He had that loaded. You still have your guy making picks for you?
I got my guy. My guy sends me. He sent me 6 picks for my first pick and 4 for my second
So
pick
after
this
the
week.
season, are you going?
Send you how to pronounce the player's name?
No, I have to. That's on me.
Yeah,
I have to do that on my own.
Is this the friend of yours that enjoyed playing down at Timber Trust?
No, that was my brother.
Okay, good. Good.
So no, but this guy is anonymous.
What about by the end of the season when we finally finalize 1 through 4? Are you going to let us know who your
I'll
guy
let y'all
is?
know who he is. Yeah,
Okay.
He or she. Never know.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Like on Twitter, the Grizzlies
exactly.
Twitter site.
You don't know.
And she tweeted out.
Yeah.
It's a girl.
It's a girl. Yeah.
Went to school. You
Yeah,
went to school
me and
with,
Molly. Yeah, I'm
with
cool with Molly. Yeah.
I like that. All right, Gabe.
My shock. I'm going to go Cameron Tringale.
Cameron Tringale. So that leaves
Great
me.
pick, Gabe.
Thanks.
Played well in Tulsa,
your guy give you
reemerges
that
back
pick?
to
No.
superstardom, and wins me double on Sunday. Ricky Fowler.
There you go.
Ricky with the
Great
bits
pick.
on the weekend.
Great
What,
pick.
yeah, what in the world is Ricky's look right now, fellas?
It's different.
You know, it's
That
different.
is polite.
I gotta say, I just hope to one day have as much swag as Cameron Smith, though. He has undeniable.
It's almost like Ricky likes the Cameron Smith look, and he's trying to get there.
Yeah. Tony
Hair's
Finau
gotta
had an
get a little
interesting.
longer. He's got to get a little more flow going.
They look like Austin
Tony
Powers. They
doesn't
look like 70s
You know,
players.
Tony Finau tried to steal the Cameron Smith look. I believe it was on either Friday or Saturday. I believe it was on Friday or Saturday. But yeah, Cameron Smith is the swaggiest player on tour. But John, appreciate it.
Great
man. Thanks
stuff.
for joining us.
Have a great weekend, John.
All right, guys. Happy Memorial Day weekend, and we'll look forward to next week.
You got it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, John. John Goen from Timber Trust Golf, and he joins us every single week for Golf Talk and some picks. Let's go ahead and get to our first break of hour number 2. When we come back, we have to talk about John Morant making second-team All-NBA, and we have to talk about the NBA playoffs as a whole. You're listening to Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Esquire magazine just declared this the era of the great steakhouse, and Memphis happens to boast one of the finest steakhouses in the country at 117 Prime. Perfect steaks cooked over seasoned hickory wood for the ultimate flavor. The experience doesn't stop with the great steaks. There's also the seafood towers. You heard that right, seafood towers with oysters, clams, lobster tails, tuna tartare, and crab claws. They're a stunning sight and a dining delight. Add in the sommelier curated wine list designed to complement the world-class steaks, and you have a meal to remember. You have 117 Prime.
I'm here with Kyle Storms from Big Green Egg. Kyle, I hear people all the time say how they love their Big Green Egg, but what makes a Big Green Egg so great?
Thanks, Stats. The fact that our grill is made out of the highest quality ceramic allows our customers to smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all while locking in the most amount of heat and flavor in their favorite foods.
What kind of fuel does the Big Green Egg use?
100% natural lumpwood charcoal. That's really where half our flavor comes from.
How many sizes does the Big Green Egg come in?
We have 7 different sizes and all different configurations ranging from metal stands, wood tables, and metal carts with a lifetime warranty. So we really do have a size and price point for everyone.
Where can someone go to see the entire lineup of Big Green Egg?
Garden Spas and Pool, Germantown Hardware, Hamilton's Fireplace and Grills, East Memphis Ace, and Cordova Ace Hardware.
Hey, I got Jeff Allen live on the phone. Hey, what's going on over there at Gossett Kia, South Mount Moriah?
Look, Randy, it's crazy over here, and that's because we'll do whatever it takes to put you in a new Kia today. Check this out. I've got a 2022 Kia Forte LXS, only $219 a month, and a 2022 Kia Soul LX, $240 a month. Both 36-month lease and $27.99 due at signing. And if you're looking for some SUV action, 2022 Kia Sorento LX, $315, 36-month lease, and $34.99 due at signing.
And I know all Gossett Kias are equipped with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
That's right, Randy. So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia, Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or KiaMountMoriah.com. All 36-month leases, Forte NE 483 548, MSRP 21435, sold NHO 2976, MSRP 22045, Sorrento NG 116657, MSRP 31290. Includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through Kia, excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 6/2/22. Dealer stock only. Warranties. A limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by the Big Green Egg.
I think this is the best chicken I ever had.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
So, 2021-22 All-NBA teams have officially been announced. First team, Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who was the only unanimous selection, by the way, Giannis. Luka Doncic, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum. Second, Joel Embiid, Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, DeMar DeRozan, and John Morant. We'll get into that in just a second. And then third team, Karl Anthony Towns, LeBron James, Chris Paul, Trae Young, and Pascal Siakam. Also, when you look at the voting, I found this just wild to even think about. Frank Isola, who votes for these things, voted Desmond Bane as one of his third-team All-NBA forwards. Very, very bizarre. But Desmond Bane
his
gets
votes
one
will
vote.
build through the years.
Yeah, but one vote for third team for Desmond Bane. But John Morant, first time on this list, and for absolutely good reason.
And going to go on a run, going to be the superstar he already is. That we dreamed of and wanted, and now we have him. He's going to get paid. He should. It's the marketplace. And for years to come in Memphis, every year at this time, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about playoff runs at this time. And everything that happened for the Grizzlies this year, you always need in sports, but you especially needed coming out of COVID. I don't want to make too much out of it, because it was Monday and Tuesday night, and it was a little bit cooler both nights. It was against Toronto. There was some lean crowds at Busch Stadium the last two nights.
Yeah.
And if the St. Louis Cardinals have lean crowds, everybody needs good things to happen to them in sport coming out of COVID.
Well,
and the Grizzlies had it.
Well, I would imagine going into this weekend for the Cardinals, they're about
with Milwaukee.
They're about to get some crowds.
They'll rebound weekend, holiday. Get all those different states that make up the fandom and a big National League Central series. But there used to be no night that the Cardinals wouldn't have the first number would be a 4. It'd be 40-something.
So let me pose this before I give you my thoughts, and I'm throwing you on the spot. Well, best Ja moment of the year for
52.
you? 52.
On a Monday night, and I almost didn't go, and I was so glad I did. And I think it's the regular season moment of all time in Grizzlies history. I think.
Yes. Against the Spurs. I understand that. And I would totally, I mean, that's one that's certainly up there. I have to say.
29 at half. You knew he was cooking.
Just because of the moment, who it was against, what I think it signifies for the Grizzlies, I'm going to have to go with 47 on May 3rd against Golden State.
That's pretty good.
That was a heck of a game. That was unreal to think about the Grizzlies finally sort of getting over that hump. Obviously, game one did not go how they wanted it to.
Can I have that as my postseason moment?
Yeah, I'm talking about one moment the entire season, but for him, it just signifies the Grizzlies as a real player in the West because by all accounts and what we're seeing right now, 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals. The Warriors are up. They're probably going to finish that gentleman's sweep back in the Bay. But to be able to do what he did, 47-8-8, against a dynastic team, a team that has been there, has won 3. Steph Curry, one of the all-time greats. Klay Thompson, one of the all-time greats.
As defined
Draymond
as you can be.
Green, one of the all-time greats. For him to go after
Legendary
them
coach.
and kill them. I mean, absolutely put them out. And 18 points in the fourth quarter when it mattered the most in front of the home crowd, I would probably lean there because of just what it signifies. Now 52,
the
as
building
a whole,
rocking.
Yeah, 52 as a whole though, and also that moment too where he dropped Jordan Poole and how absolutely nuts FedEx Forum went at that moment. That's definitely one I won't forget. But what comes with this, one, I think Ja being on second team. I'm telling you, I wish we had a sounder for it, but this is going to be something in the offseason because he's a manufactured motivation guy. Let's make no mistakes about it. He's on Twitter, he's on social media all the time talking about people that have slighted him. I feel like being
Tom Brady.
I feel like being second team is something that he'll take as a slight.
Josh still motivated by he loves his Murray State roots and ties, but he still feels slighted that some of the bigger teams didn't come calling, and they all saw him because he was out there AAU with Zion. So those coaches saw him. It's not like, well, we just didn't know about him. And that motivation for Tom Brady exists to this day of being 199 and that horrible combine photo of him shirtless.
Yeah, right.
And you have, I guess those guys have to have that motivation. The last visit we had with Rob Fisher, I thought Rob made a sensational point about next year. And remembering this year's start, very klutzy start to the year, had that ugly big deficit loss. Ja gets hurt. If the Grizzlies come out next year, say October to January 1, really cooking, and then just play something like they did this year in January, February, and March, they can run off and hide as the 1 seed.
But here's
60 wins.
But in the Western Conference, I don't think that's and I understand what you're saying, and you want to see that upward trajectory. But when you're talking about a team improving, getting to that championship caliber, getting to the point where you can win a championship, it's rarely going to be a complete up arrow. There's going to be ups, downs, divots, dips, the whole 9 yards. I don't think it's very reasonable to expect 1 or 2 seed for this team. Now, top 6, top 5, absolutely 100%.
I can't wait to see next year's win total over-under.
But when you look around the Western Conference, you just have to look at the Suns still, even though DeAndre Ayton's probably out the door. The Warriors are still around. The Mavs, if they had another piece, are still going to be around. They're around without another piece. They're in the Western Conference Finals without Kristaps Porzingis or a second star. A healthy Denver. The Jazz, I think we can sort of toss them. I don't know what's going to happen. Say it again.
Step back for Utah.
I think it'll be a step back, but they'll still be a player if they keep someone.
Clippers,
Donovan Mitchell around. Clippers will certainly, if Kawhi plays, be back up there. Pelicans are on the rise. Timberwolves are on the rise. Lakers. Where are you at on the Lakers? I haven't really gotten your thoughts on this. Are you? I think they're just about
receding.
Toast. I think they're just about toast. That doesn't mean they can't come out and be a playoff team next year. You fully expected that this year, but the thought of Anthony Davis staying healthy for a whole year, and that's what you're hinging your season on. You can't hinge your season.
Yeah,
on
that's a long shot. All those names we just rattled off, and we didn't say San Antonio because I don't think anybody thinks they'll be around.
I just don't. I mean, what
they could step back.
What
even from this year,
but also for them, like what do you add to that team? Even if you were going to make an offseason move, what do you add to that team that really puts them over the edge? DeJounte Murray is certainly their superstar.
It's not just one person, and that's one thing in sports. It's one thing if you have a whole, and there's never the perfect team. But when you have holes, when you've got a bunch of things to fix, you can't do that in one draft and one round of free agency.
But John Morant, second team All-NBA, 27 points per game, 6.7 assists per game, 5.7 rebounds per game, had a bunch of double-doubles, the 52-point performance, the whole 9 yards. How many more games do you think he would have to play to be first team? Because I think that before that injury that ended his year for what was it, the last 8 or 9 games?
Yeah, and it was
I would probably consider him because he was an all-star starter. He's one of the best 2 guards in the Western Conference. I would think that he could have gotten that call for first team.
He sure could have, because if he has another 50-point night.
Now, again, I think climbing over Luka Doncic and Devin Booker was always going to be really tough. But I would think if he played about 65 games, 70 games, he probably could have climbed over Devin Booker for first team.
But the Grizzlies had it in playoff mode and shut him down. It was smart too, because even with this year's fun year, that front office that I don't question them, I don't challenge them on anything anymore. They've won, right. and they've got the hardware to show that. Even when you're in the middle of that fun run, they have to think big picture. They have to think long game.
Yeah, they do.
And they have to think financially.
And financially, that's what I'm going to get to. I asked Michael Cole this morning, texted him, and sort of tried to see what that extension will look like this summer. And what he said is this summer it will likely be about 5 years, $186 million. Then he said he believes the number would jump to 5 years, $223 million if he makes All-NBA next year in consecutive seasons. So the financials of him making an all-NBA team and being this level of player certainly is interesting. It's going to limit what you can do outside of Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bane, the core you've built.
Yeah, and there will be pressures with that, but I don't think it'll ever affect his play.
No, I don't think that's the case. But the financial aspect of this is a very real one. It can't be ignored through this process.
Again, building FedEx Forum cost $260 million.
It's a different time.
A long time ago.
How much would that cost now if you did all prices, and especially if you did it right? If you did it this year or last year, ridiculous.
Close to $1 billion.
Yeah, it would be ridiculous.
Yeah,
It'd be
just with
upcharged.
all the costs.
Yeah, and all those what's it called? The
supply chain
issues.
I swear, every time I go on a trip, the last time I went to St. Louis and this time, when I'm driving, I hear some top of the hour news. Today is the most expensive gas in the history of the United States. So every time I leave, it's that.
Maybe you need to stop traveling then for all of us.
Invariably, if I stop at exit 42, it's $4.50. Exit 47, $4.12.
Yeah.
If I just waited
every time.
Next stop.
Well,
how does that happen?
Well, I don't know. I can't act like I have any idea, but when you get in closer to big cities, it just gets more expensive.
I know that, and I wasn't right on top of St. Louis to fill up going, but even like the exit before I stopped was like $4.20. I stopped at $4.50, and then the next one's like $4.12.
I'm sure we can use just buzzwords to explain it, right? Supply and demand, supply chain.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah, there you go. That's
the
one.
How do they know where I'm pulling over? I know this at Belly Acres. Their motto, Cityfied Farm Fresh. The goal, simple, provide a fun, unique farm-to-table experience for the entire family, and they've done it. 2 great locations now, a third really close, on the way this summer in South Haven at Silo Square, now in Regalia at 6130 Poplar, and in Overton Square at 2102 Trimble Place. Signature burgers are made from 100% grass-fed beef, everything fresh, the sandwiches, salads, and the best milkshakes anywhere. Memorial Weekend, that kicks off milkshake season, doesn't it? The burgers like the Dare Ya or the Double Dare Ya and the Melt in Your Mouth, and you must try the Voodoo Moo Moo. It is the quality brand, the Belly Acres team that they've developed using grass-fed beef with creative homemade toppings in a fun farm setting right here in the big city. The goal at Belly Acres, to become even more sustainable as they grow, now in Overton Square and in Regalia, and coming this summer to Silo Square in South Haven. Very best quality available. It's at Belly Acres. Burgers, shakes, and smiles every time at Belly Acres.
No, I know I opened with a top story being about the Western Conference Finals. Warriors, of course, up 3-1, but the Mavs somehow figured it out last night. It was not a very entertaining basketball game by any stretch of the imagination, but I did lie. There were some entertaining parts. Have you ever seen a rain delay at halftime of a basketball game?
I have seen a rain delay. Early when the Spurs first played at the Dome in San Antonio, the Dome was new. A water line broke kind of over the court and just flooded. You go to the video of it.
Right.
I guarantee YouTube has it. There were people, it was like they were at Niagara Falls being knocked over with the water.
Yeah. Was it raining or was it just the water from the
pipe burst?
Yeah.
Inside.
Okay. My gosh. And there was just a leak through the roof because of the rain last night in Dallas. But it took a while to get back from halftime.
In 2006, the Tigers played in the NCAA tournament in Dallas. And I want to say the Tigers game was complete. It was on Sunday after the Tigers had won early against maybe Penn that had upset Arkansas. I think that's right. Oh, no, it was someone else.
You'll get fact-checked on the Tigers.
I will. It wasn't Penn. It was someone else, though. Who was it? But anyway, the second game, the Tigers had left. It was rain delayed because the rain in Dallas that weekend was record.
Yeah. But I had never seen that. So they delayed that. And also, I had never seen
Bucknell. It came to me.
There you go. I have never seen what I saw from that Draymond Green free throw. Brian, I know you saw that last night. Draymond Green throws up a free throw, and it sticks on the back iron. Just floated on the back iron after bouncing around.
Isn't that dead ball?
Yes, dead ball, take the next free throw. Or
you get about one a
other
year
team
of
gets
that
it.
when it just stays on that.
To be honest, especially in a playoff game in the NBA, never seen that. I'm convinced
usually
that the
it's on a
ball
high
will not
carom
go
shot.
through the net for Draymond Green these
Yeah.
days. Draymond Green used to be able to play offense. He used to score some points.
No, he doesn't.
He can't do anything anymore.
Gabe, I'm sorry. I've seen both. And I've been at games when the lights go out. It was me at a lot of them, I swear, for a long time. If I went to a game, the lights would go out. It
Really? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
How often did this happen to you?
One year at the SEC tournament here in Memphis in '94.
Really?
A long delay.
So I know you have good recall. When did you see a ball pause on the back iron that way?
Gabe, usually about either in person or on TV, you see it about once a year. And one time a rain delay it was raining inside at the Tad Pad. I mean,
it's too bad.
They joked one year we're going to have more rainouts in basketball than in baseball at the Tad Pad.
I hear you. But no, Draymond Green, my gosh, man. He can't score points, but that's tough. That's tough to have it pause on the back iron that way. Let's go ahead and get to our final break of hour number 2. When we come back, you know what we do. We're the only show that does it in town. We have Millennial Monday and we have Way Back Wednesday. We bridge the gap between the generations. Coming up next, Way Back Wednesday.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, I'm Troy Fivesh, owner of Fivesh Roofing. Sunday, today and today only. And for the first 50 callers, these are things you will never hear me say in my ads. Because if you're honest, sincere, and knowledgeable, you don't need fast-talking, high-energy, gimmick-promising advertising to get someone's attention. Speaking of that, how do you think companies can offer huge rebates and giveaways when you use their services or products? By overcharging you in the first place. That's how. 5S Roofing doesn't operate that way. It's misleading and dishonest. When I provide a customer with the best products and the best service, and I do it for a fair price, why would I need gimmicks? Best products, best warranties, and the best service possible. That's all we offer. Well, that and financing. 5S Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. 5S Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5S Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Back pain, muscle spasms, bulging or herniated disc, shooting hip and leg pain with tingling in the feet? Mid-South Wellness and Neuropathy Center has the answers with their advanced machine called spinal decompression. This spinal decompression machine has saved their patients from addictive pain meds and back surgery. Let Mid-South Wellness Neuropathy Center get you back to playing golf and getting restful sleep again. Located in the heart of the city in Eastgate at Park and White Station, Mid-South Wellness Neuropathy Center is easy to visit. Give them a call today and ask for the Johnny Harden Decompression VIP deal and save 40%. Call 901-495-2320 and again ask for the Johnny Harden VIP deal at Mid-South Wellness Neuropathy Center. 901-495-2320. Call today and feel better tomorrow. Mid-South Wellness Neuropathy Center, the answer to your pain.
I often say they've set the bar for the way car business should be done at Homer Skelton Hyundai. You know how close that is. It's right there at Highway 78, Lamar Avenue, and Craft Road, the very first exit in Mississippi. I say it because they always come up with new innovations. And right now, when we've had all these shortages on new cars, Homer Skelton Hyundai is always going to come through for you. You won't pay more than the sticker price for a new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's Chris True's pledge. You'll never pay more than sticker price. Those other guys, they could charge you a whole lot more for that new car because they know there's a shortage. That never happens at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's part of the philosophy and the team that's been together for about 15 years now. You want the best of service? You want the best of products? It's the combination and the trust you'll always get from the best guys around. Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by the Big Green Egg.
Bon appetit.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Papa was a Rolling Stone, but
Back
now I
in
got
on
Rolling
Sports
Stones
Time
in
to
the
end hour number 2. You're with Gabe and Stats. I'm Gabe. He's Stats. And you know what we have to do. We have to bridge the gap between the generations.
Let's go.
Let's get to Way Back Wednesday. So the Monday Night Football sounder makes me
Love
ask.
Monday Night
well,
Football
you think we finally made Monday Night Football great again?
We're attempting to.
Okay.
It's getting close.
Okay.
Really close. Question 1. Multiple choice.
Thanks.
Name the legendary college basketball coach that was in the front office here in Memphis for the Memphis Tams in the ABA. A. Denny Crum. B. John Wooden. C. Eddie Sutton. Or D. Adolph Rupp. Crum, Wooden, Sutton, Rupp. Front office fixture in the ABA here
I'm
going to
go A. Crum. Boo, is it Sutton? Is it Rupp? There we go.
The Baron, Adolph Rupp.
There we go.
From Kentucky.
Oh, third try. Don't they say that?
Memphis, yeah.
Third time's a charm.
Third time's a charm.
Question 2. Mr. 59 in Memphis golf lore at the Danny Thomas Memphis Classic at Colonial, Al Guyberger.
Okay.
Earlier in his career, before he shot 59 here in Memphis, he had won what major? A. Masters. B. PGA. C. U.S. Open. Or D. Open Championship.
You know, these are great multiple choice questions. I mean, they're disguised as something that's supposed to be easy on me, but these are impossible. Can you do it again?
A. Masters. B. PGA. C. U.S. Open. Or D. Open Championship. About 11 years before his famous 59 in Memphis, he won a major.
Give me C.
You got 3 other guesses.
Oh, gosh. I got 3 other guesses.
Well,
give me A.
B. PGA.
And third time's a charm. Would you look at it?
Al
Every single
Guyberger,
time.
1966
Consistency.
PGA champion at Firestone Country Club.
There we go.
In Akron, OHIO. Question number 3. Which one of these bands did not have very, very large Memphis roots? If not from here.
Lock in, Gabe. You got this.
They either recorded here. Most of them really were both. A, the Buckinghams. B, the Box Tops.
Never mind.
C, Larry Raspberry and the High Steppers.
I'm dead.
It's a tough one, Gabe.
I'm dead.
Or D, Sam the Sham. Sam Samudio with his breakout hit, Wooly Bully. Watch it now.
There we go.
There's some more there, Brett. How about it?
Give me all right, one more time, A through D.
The Buckinghams.
Okay.
B, the Box Tops. C, Larry Raspberry and the High Steppers. I knew his granddad. D, Sam the Sham.
That was a hint.
That was a hint.
Give me A, the Buckinghams.
Wow!
Look at that!
Unbelievable.
Oh
Good for
my
you.
gosh!
Gabe, you know I love my Memphis music. I didn't get that one. I had no idea on that one.
Thank you for.
I'm impressed.
You gave me a hint there, though.
The
on
Buckinghams
C.
from Chicago.
Really?
Very
There we
good.
go. Nice.
Very good. Speaking of Chicago, question 4. The Chicago Bears once had a head coach that had the same name as the first man to walk on the moon. That coach and that astronaut's name, A, George Hallis. B, Abe Gibran. C, Mike Ditka. D, Neil Armstrong. Or E, John Fox.
Wait, what? The first guy to walk on the moon?
Had the same name as a Chicago Bear coach. He shared the same name. Like, same guy walked on the moon.
Like I'm named Bryant Dacus. He was also named Bryant Dacus.
D. Yeah.
Neil Armstrong.
Oh, wait, that was basically just who walked on the moon.
I've got to.
That was the easy one.
I got to make a confession. When me and Brett did these earlier
didn't
in the week,
know.
I knew it was Neil Armstrong, but I thought it was a trick question. So I said a different name, and he started laughing.
When he added an E in there, I definitely thought it was a trick question.
Yeah.
Neil Armstrong, was Neil Armstrong a good head football coach?
No, he was much better walking on the moon than he was coaching the Bears, and then walking the sidelines.
All right, then let's have this conversation. We have a couple of minutes left over. Moonwalk, the original moon landing, real or fake?
Oh, very real.
Fake.
Very real.
Shot in Hollywood.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
What studio? People have it down to the studio
MGM.
these days. There you go.
It's impossible. It's impossible to have that many people in on that big a lie.
You know, look, I'm going to be very non-committal on this either way. But why was there's no wind on the moon.
No wind.
And the flag was flowing.
It was flapping. USA.
What was that about?
Well, it was mostly still.
No, I'm playing. I think it actually happened.
Don't.
But I
change
do love
now.
conspiracy theories.
What's your favorite conspiracy theory?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I don't know.
I'm no conspiracist at all. I think things just happen. I don't buy the third and fourth and eighth gunman with President Kennedy in Dealey Plaza.
Good one too.
Elvis is not alive.
No.
Well, I don't know. There's a pastor in Kansas City.
There it is.
There is.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
The Elvis movie's coming out.
Oh,
too,
I'm
so.
nervous about it. I'm nervous about it. I'm gonna go see it the day it comes out, though.
Why you say that? I know you're the biggest Elvis fan. In
the family has signed off on it mostly.
Yeah, but also I don't know how much I listen to Priscilla. But that's just me. I don't know.
You don't like Sam the Sham and his hit song Wooly Bully?
I don't know Wooly Bully.
I'm not familiar. Let me see if I can find
What
Sam
were
the
the
Sham.
lyrics after Wooly Bully?
I'm not going to do it again.
Come on.
I'm not going to do it again.
I tried.
Have you, Gabe, have you heard the conspiracy theory about Jimmy Butler?
Oh, that Michael Jordan is his long-lost father.
Yeah, you buy that one,
Now,
Brett?
come on now.
That's a thing. I'm not saying I believe it. Again, I'm non-committal on these things, all right? I just have to see it play out. Sam the Sham?
Oh, yeah, I remember Sam the Sham, yeah.
Did he say 1, 2, 3, Quattro?
Yeah. Yeah, I know this one, Brett, yeah.
I feel like I should be doing
Here we go.
I feel like I should be doing the twist to this. What? How about it? There we go, Sam the Sham. No, keep that up. Don't. We're gonna have to go to the break to this. This is rocking. There we go.
That's good stuff there.
That
sounds like Memphis,
so he
doesn't
had
it?
Memphis roots.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Recorded that here.
Nice. Sam the Sham. Learn something new every day. But let's see. I went 2 of 4. I'm 50% today. That'll do it.
Nobody could say Sam Samudio better than George Klein could. Another GK. We've gone from GK to GK.
GK's all now. I do the subject matter. I'm different than the other GK. No question about it.
Oh, he was beautiful.
Oh, wasn't he? That'll do it for hour number 2. Hour number 3 on the way. We get back to some NBA playoff talk. We also have to get to what's trending. Then at the bottom of the hour, we get to Taco Bell Crunchline. But coming up next, Colin Ward-Hittinger joins us from CBS Sports.
For over 8 decades, America's farmers have counted on the Little Red Tractor from Case IH, the Farmall, to help them make short work of their demanding chores. Well, Mid-South Ag can show you they aren't just for farms anymore. With horsepower ranging from 30 to 105, plus an army of attachments, they can tackle every chore on your to-do list, from hauling and mowing to loading and towing and then some. Stop by Mid-South Ag Equipment or call 662-890-3141 to find a Case IH Farmall that's right for you.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
If you have damage to your home and have your insurance carrier involved, you need a great contractor. You also need a team that has seen claims of all shapes and sizes, residential or commercial. After our inspection, we'll share our findings and give you our professional opinion. Some people say you get what you pay for. However, our opinion is free. Trust the name you can depend on, like the tens of thousands of families Brian and I have served over the past 20 years here in the Mid-South. Brian Elder Roofing. We'll measure your roof from outer space and share our team's experience for your property and claim. Repaired roofs, replacement roofs, big roofs, tiny roofs, insurance roofs, flat roofs, TPO roofs, asphalt roofs, tile roofs, slate roofs, metal roofs. If your roof needs some love, call me. 901-867-0303 for Brian Elder Roofing and Contracting.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
In the alley since 1948, Mr. Charlie Virgo's world-famous Rendezvous. John, you and your family continue the great work at the Rendezvous. Next year will be the 75th birthday party. Let's start the party now.
Brett, there are so many visitors in town to watch the emerging Grizzlies and to see our great sights and sounds in Memphis. I see them all the time at the restaurant. I want them to know Memphis is a great foodie town. There are so many family-owned, locally owned great restaurants that have stood the test of time. I won't mention all because the list is too long and I don't want to leave anybody out, but I will mention Jim's Place Grill because my cousins own it. It's a great restaurant and they've stood the test of time, and they are this year celebrating their 100th anniversary. And of course, any visitor that comes to Memphis needs to eat barbecue. And I've said this before, there's great barbecue all over Memphis. I know because I eat it. But if you just have one night to eat barbecue in Memphis, it should be the Rendezvous. It's such a special place with a special staff. And by the way, next year we will be celebrating our 75th anniversary.
The world-famous Rendezvous, serving Memphis in the Mid-South and with the shipping, serving the world. At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales.
Make them drive the car. Make them touch it. Feel it.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Hour 3 upon us on a wet Wednesday here in Memphis. Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and Stats. With you, Gabe. I'm Gabe. He is Stats. And joining us to start hour number 3 to talk some NBA from CBS Sports, where we bring on Colin Ward Henninger at Colin CBS Sports on Twitter. Colin, how's it going, man?
It's going all right, man. I'm getting ready for this game tonight, and, I got to put my armor on because everyone seems to get injured even watching that game.
Oh, right. I seriously.
We just want a good game, Colin.
That matchup has been ridiculous. Both teams are so inconsistent at this point in the playoffs.
It's hard to watch, honestly. It looks like there's just like a 1990s battle of defense and bodies and people falling down and getting hurt. It's two great teams. You can't get past that. But the series so far probably hasn't lived up to the hype, and that's just because there's so much inconsistency of who's playing and who is able to actually perform up to their abilities.
Yeah, and we still may get a Game 7 in that series, so it is what it is. It may end up being an all-time great, but through 4 games, 2-2, and we haven't seen a game that's been very hotly contested. But we'll get back to that here in a second. But I have to ask you, since you were in the room last night when Steve Kerr gave his sort of talking points on the shooting in Uvalde, Texas yesterday, how was it in that room, and what did you make of his comments before the game?
Well, I have to say I'm not in Dallas, so I
Okay.
did not travel to Dallas.
Okay,
I
I
wasn't in the
apologize.
room, but I was on the press conference to Zoom, and watching that live was it was jarring. I mean, it was tear-inducing. I felt emotion. I felt Steve Kerr's anger when he slammed the table, when he screamed, when he walked out. As we all know, this is nothing new for Steve Kerr. He's been an advocate of gun control, spoken out against gun violence for years and years now. His father, Malcolm, was assassinated in 1984 by the hands of gunmen. So this is something that hits him on a personal level. And to see that kind of emotion, that kind of passion coming out before what was a huge game, and you have to think, you don't want to talk about basketball, but you wonder how focused the Warriors were after something like that, and the Mavericks for that matter. They played fantastic, but when something like that happens, it affects all of us on a level that goes beyond our jobs, that goes beyond anything besides our families and our loved ones, and we start thinking about that. So absolutely devastating, and I wasn't surprised to see Steve Kerr speaking out about it because he's done in the past. I certainly was surprised to see that level of anger and emotion coming from him before the game.
So the loss last night and seeing what they did on the road, and we saw it when they had a closeout opportunity in Memphis as well. They seemed to fall short even without John Morant playing for the Grizzlies. You do think that all the actions of yesterday and before the game, you think that weighed on the Warriors as a whole?
I actually think they played pretty well in the first half, but that's something where the Mavericks were just making every three-pointer,
right.
And it's hard for a team to continue to fight and fight and fight when it just looks like it's not your night. So I'm glad you brought up the Memphis game because that really reminded me of Game 5 in Memphis where they had this opportunity to close out the series. In that game, they quickly found out that they weren't up to the energy and intensity level of Memphis, and they kind of went in the tank from there, and they got down by 50 points. So that didn't happen in Dallas, but a similar energy once the Warriors realized that the Mavericks really came out to play, knowing you have a home game coming up, potential to close out the series at home rather than on the road. I think this is a veteran group. I think they understand that series are long, and a sweep would be great to get that extra rest. But I think they didn't want to go out and kill themselves trying to win a game that they knew they couldn't win.
How quickly do you think the Warriors can refocus and close this out? And if they were to lose Game 5, when do you start getting worried?
Oh, I mean, I'm worried now. I would be worried now. You're facing Luka Doncic. We saw what he did to the Suns in Game 7. He's capable of just single-handedly beating you. And you look around and you see in the games that the Mavericks lose, generally they don't shoot well, right? Maxi Kleber absolutely disappeared. Reggie Bullock has had a couple games where he couldn't hit a shot.
Yeah.
Dorian Finney-Smith has been, pretty bad shooting the ball. So you see what happens in Game 4. They make their shots. Suddenly they're a much different team. Takes that pressure off Luka, and you have to worry about those guys. It creates driving lanes, and the Mavericks dominated the paint. So I would be concerned. I think that the Warriors, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Steve Kerr, they've all been in this position before. I think they understand how important it is to win this game because they certainly don't want to go back to Dallas. They talked about the flight to Memphis and how, that's a lot longer than you think. The flight to Dallas isn't short either, and they certainly don't want to go and get on a plane and go back there and have to face Luka Doncic at home and then in a Game 7. So I think their focus is going to be on winning the series in Game 5 at home, and I think they're going to come out with some real intensity and kind of try to establish themselves early against Dallas.
So something that I talked about on Monday after that Sunday game, of course the Warriors won that one, and Andrew Wiggins had 27, 11, and 3 in that game. And Andrew Wiggins, I think throughout his career, he's gotten – there's been narratives pushed about him as far as the empty stats narrative when he was in Minnesota, him not living up to the hype as the number 1 overall pick. How impressive has it been to sort of watch how he's grown and how he has sort of fit into what the Warriors are doing this year?
Oh, it's been amazing. And when he first got there, this was the plan, right? Like, he doesn't have to be the guy He can be the third, maybe even fourth option sometimes on offense. What we need him to do is lock down on defense, which is something that draft analysts thought he was going to do right away. We said, okay, this guy, we'll see about the offense, but this guy is going to be an elite defensive prospect immediately. That wasn't the case in Minnesota, and there could be tons of reasons for that: coaching, effort, development, whatever you want to say. But when he got to the Warriors, he had singular focus from the coaching staff, from the development staff. You're going to be on the best perimeter player every single night guarding him. That's your primary assignment. That's what we need you to do. And then on offense, you need to be able to stand there and make wide open three-pointers and cut to the basket and dunk. That's all we need for you. We don't need step-back jumpers. We don't need offensive creation. We don't need you to be dishing and playmaking. I think that has just really simplified things for Andrew Wiggins. Everybody raves about him, says he's just the best guy, very coachable. And I think this was ultimately the role that he was designed for as a basketball player. And, when you're the number one overall pick, that comes with so many expectations. He went to a really bad team, an organization that was kind of in flux the whole time he was there. Going to a situation like Golden State, an established culture, a winning culture, able to learn from the veterans and have this focused role, I think it's done wonders for him. That being said, not everyone can do it, right? Everyone says, hey, play your role. Not everyone is able to do that. So a lot of credit to Andrew Wiggins for saying, I don't need to be a 20-point-a-game scorer anymore. I can just go out there and play a role and help us win, and that's exactly what he's done.
Colin, with your feedback from Golden State fans and even from the Golden State, the team, I think for the team it'll be more after a championship run if they attain that. But have you heard from fans going, getting past Memphis, we got this thing now? Getting past the Grizzlies was big.
Absolutely. They're worried about that Grizzlies series. As you know, the Warriors had trouble with the Grizzlies in the past. They lost to them in the play-in game last year. That was a matchup they were certainly concerned with. And you saw even after John Morant went out, that's a tough team. And Draymond Green talked about it. He said, hey, we basically played two different teams this series, and we had to adjust our game plans. They went big with Kevon Looney. So getting past the Grizzlies was huge. And then in terms of what you're saying about the fans, once Phoenix lost, Golden State was celebrating. They were throwing parties. They were saying, we're going to the finals. This is going to be a cakewalk. And going up 3-0, obviously, it helped that. The Dallas is a tough team, but it's certainly on paper, it's not Phoenix. Phoenix poses a lot of different problems for Golden State. Dallas, as I said, if their perimeter players, if their role players aren't making shots, they're a very manageable team. And defensively, they're a much improved team, but I don't think that they are equipped to handle the quick-hitting motion offense of the Warriors. So I think fans justifiably were happy when they saw that Dallas won. And now, unless barring – it's something that's never happened in NBA history, 146-0. When teams go up 3-0, they win the series. So barring something miraculous, they're going to be back in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, and the Mavs, I've said it, I think they're a really good team defense. Jason Kidd has done a good job of bringing them together. I don't know if they're as equipped stopper-wise as some of those teams there in the East, the Celtics and the Heat, but they've done a good job on that side of the ball. But the Warriors provide so many different looks off the ball where – it seemed like during that Sun series, the Mavs were just playing a high ball screen because that's all you have to really worry about with Chris Paul and Devin Booker.
It is, and it was jarring to see that Game 7. I've never seen anything like that. But what the Dallas did, they took the ball out of Booker's hands, right? They trapped him and said, we're going to force other people to beat us. And the way that Chris Paul was playing, maybe it was his quad injury, maybe it was just, he ran out of gas or they did something different defensively. But Chris Paul wasn't playing well. So he said, okay, if we take the ball out of Booker's hands, Chris Paul's not playing well. DeAndre Ayton wasn't really doing much in the post. Suddenly, it's a pretty manageable offense. So credit to what Dallas did. But as you said, the Warriors are a much different team. They're moving. They're cutting. It's, what's the thing that they strengthen numbers. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So everybody contributes, and you have to worry about everyone. And with Steph Curry playing at the level that he's playing at, not only shooting the ball, but getting to the basket, that adds a much different element for Dallas's defense.
So I think it's pretty well. Most people agree on the Mavericks that yes, Luka can get you a top 6 seed, even if it's just Luka doing what he's doing. And I know Jalen Brunson and Spencer Dinwiddie have given them really good contributions. But I think everyone agrees that Luka needs another guy beside him. They tried it with Kristaps Porzingis. They tried to see what he could do. It didn't quite work out. Failed experiment there. What type of player do you think you could bring in and immediately propel the Mavs from a Western Conference Finals to a Finals and a possible win?
And will Mark Cuban do it?
That's a really good question. I think ideally you have like a mega Jalen Brunson. So a guy who's a little bit bigger, a little bit more capable as a scorer, someone who can handle the offense, because Luka Doncic's his usage rate is just through the roof in these playoffs because they just really don't have any other options. And he's so good that if you trap him, he knows to make the right pass. But once he gets the ball out of his hands, you need another creator as opposed to just a bunch of shooters. So Brunson is doing the best that he can. He's probably going to get paid a lot, whether it's by the Mavericks or by someone else. But really, I mean, if you're talking about fantasy land, maybe possibilities, if Zach LaVine decides he doesn't want to come back to the Bulls, he'd be a pretty darn good second fiddle to Luka Doncic in Dallas.
I've heard some things, and obviously we think the Jazz make moves. Just you talk about what has been done there. They've had a pretty substantial fall off from 2 years ago to what they did this year and getting knocked out early. I've heard Rudy Gobert to the Mavs. Do you think there's any legs to that, and do you think that would make sense?
I think it makes sense. They certainly need a center. They've tried Dwight Powell, and he's doing the best he can, but he starts, but he only plays 7-10 minutes a game. So they certainly need a defensive presence in the middle, and that lob threat is what's going to be key for them. Dwight Powell can catch lobs, but Rudy Gobert in the dunker spot would really open up a lot of things for them. So I think that's certainly a possibility. And from Utah's side, you have to imagine there's some sort of changes coming. I was a huge Utah fan. I thought they were going to get the number 1 seed again this year. I thought they were going to do well in the playoffs. There's just something that's not right. And I don't know whether it's, there's been a lot of reports about Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, and their relationship. I don't know if that's it, but there's certainly something going on there where I think they're at the point where running it back again and again and again is probably not the best idea. So there's talk about trading Rudy Gobert, getting more on Donovan Mitchell's timeline. He's a lot younger. Dallas is a great spot for Rudy Gobert or another center of that type if they don't feel like paying that kind of price.
Colin, we just love having you project for us. I know a little presumptuous, and Steve Kerr would probably come at you pretty hard over this, but Golden State, they get past Dallas. Which one of these teams, Boston or Miami, they most want a piece of and least want a piece of?
Oof. I would say I don't think anybody really wants to play Boston at this point.
Hottest team in the league since January.
What's that?
Hottest team in the league since January.
Exactly. Not only that, but you look at their defense, which was number 1 in the league since that point that you're talking about. Their offense has also been really good. So I think that's why they would prefer Miami. I think Miami's defense is very, very tough, especially if they're healthy. If PJ Tucker's okay, Kyle Lowry's okay, if Jimmy Butler's okay. But offensively, as we're seeing against Boston, you get them in the half court. Unless Jimmy Butler is putting up one of those 40-point games, they really don't have a lot of options. And then they can go to Tyler Hero, but then you can attack him on defense. So I think Boston is a more complete team, especially if they're healthy. So I think that Golden State of those two would prefer Miami, but either one is going to be a very, very difficult matchup and going to be probably the best defense that the Warriors have seen so far in the playoffs.
And just based off talent on the offensive end, yes, I completely agree. The Celtics are just, you have so many scoring options in the grand scheme with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown can go get what they want. Marcus Smart's been solid as a scorer. And Al Horford still, at this age, still doing what he's doing. It's been unbelievable to see, and defensively he's nice as well. But the one issue I've been having with the Celtics is it seems like they have more lulls than we're used to when we're talking about a championship contending
Long
team.
ones.
Jason Tatum he's due, it seems like, for one of those games where he scores 9-10 points. Do you think there's anything that you could sort of attribute that to, or is that just them being young?
Yeah, that's a really good point, and I've noticed that too. And I think ultimately what it comes down to is remember the way that they started the year. People were talking about breaking up Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown because they just weren't performing. Ime Udoka had them trying to play a different style, which was more ball movement, more cutting, sharing the ball, things like that. And it took them a while to figure that out. Once they did, they had tremendous results. But I think these lulls you're talking about are when they fall back into that. The ball gets stagnant. Jaylen Brown trying to take his man one-on-one instead of making the simple pass. Jason Tatum going into his, step-back series and doing his Kobe Bryant moves.
Yeah.
That's great. Those guys are capable of doing that, but that's not what they've found success with. So it's difficult in the playoffs when, you're facing a defense like the Heat to make those passes. You get a little scared. They turn the ball over a lot. During those lulls you're talking about, that's usually why other teams go on these runs, is because they're turning the ball over. They're not making the right play, trying to do a little bit too much. So I think that's what you're seeing with the Celtics when they have these stretches where they're not performing up to their capabilities.
Who do you think ultimately wins this series? We talk about Game 5s all the time, 2-2. Whoever wins Game 5 wins 82% of the time. Who do you think goes on and wins this series?
I picked Boston to begin, and I think I'm going to stick with that. I think I had Boston in 6. This might go 7, particularly if Miami wins tonight, and Boston has to win. Obviously, it has to go 7. But I think this just watching this series, it just seems destined for 7 games. It's been a bloodbath. These two teams probably never want to see each other again after this series. But again, I just think Boston's offense is just a little too much compared to Miami's offense. That's really the difference, because I think both defenses are basically equal. Boston's got a little bit more offensively, but we've seen over and over Miami, you try to count them out, you try to say they're not good at this, they're not good at that. They just find a way to win. Eric Spoelstra is tremendous. If Kyle Lowry continues to get healthy, that could be a huge X factor for these next few games because he really changes the dynamic of their offense, gets out in transition a lot more, which is something they need to do because their half-court offense isn't great. They can get out in transition, get some easy buckets. That takes some pressure off of them and allows them to get back on defense and really make Boston work. So I think it's destined for 7, but I'm going to stick with Boston.
Our guest, Colin Ward-Henninger from CBS Sports. Last thing for you, Colin. All NBA teams come out today. First team, Nikola Jokic, Giannis, who was the unanimous pick, Luka Doncic, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, and then obviously second and third. What did you think of these teams as a whole? Do you think anybody was snubbed?
I mean, Joel Embiid is snubbed, but it's not anyone's fault. It's the league's fault. They need to go to a positionless vote. It just doesn't make any sense that, Jason Tatum talked about this today, saying that Joel Embiid was second in MVP voting,
right,
and he's on the second team All-NBA. It just doesn't make sense. So I think our CBS experts, we actually picked the All-NBA teams. I think the only thing that we got wrong was we had DeMar DeRozan on the third team and LeBron on the second team, and that was reversed when they came out. So not a ton of surprises. I think we kind of expected what we saw. What we did know is injuries played a big role in All-NBA teams, right? John Morant missed some time. LeBron James obviously missed some time. So that really kind of played a part in where those guys ended up on the All-NBA teams. But I think overall, we got the players right. We just need to do some tweaking to figure out how to get the best players on the first team every year.
Yeah, Joel Embiid is a first-team All-NBA guy this year. I don't know what metric. I mean, obviously you only have one spot for a center, but by any metric, by the stats, by the MVP voting, and no question he's first team. So you mentioned John Morant. If he would have been able to play that last stretch of games, do you think he possibly could have jumped Devin Booker and been first team All-NBA?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think Devin Booker got the vote because he's the best player on the best team. But what John Morant did this season, he won Most Improved Player, which is kind of, I would give it to a guy like Jordan Poole, who came out of the G League and became a star. But I'm glad John Morant got some sort of recognition because what he did this year is tremendous. And he was certainly, if you ask anyone in the league, they'll say he's a first-team All-NBA caliber talent, and he'll probably be there sooner rather than later.
No question. But he is Colin Ward-Henninger at Colin CBS Sports on Twitter. Obviously covers the NBA for CBS Sports. Always appreciate it, Colin.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Really good. And tonight is pivotal. The big Game 5 in Golden State. They're just waiting. Who do you think they want the most?
Who they want? The Heat.
Yeah.
But I think they can handle both of these teams, but the Celtics certainly pose more threats offensively.
Now, Steve Kerr's dad, I'm trying to think of the circumstances around his passing. I thought he was killed in a terrorist attack as ambassador in Beirut even.
I'm
in the early 80s?
I'm not full. He was the president of the American University of Beirut.
Okay, he was not with the State Department,
yes.
but he was in Beirut.
Yes. So, yeah, anytime something comes up like this, you can expect something impassioned from Steve Kerr. And to be honest with you.
Yeah, I remember that. Kerr was big-time star at Arizona for Lute Olson.
And as much respect as I lost for Steve Kerr through the process of the Grizzlies code nonsense, I gained a lot yesterday for him speaking his mind for those 2 minutes.
Well, it's case in point again, Gabe, is nobody's ever just one thing.
Right.
You know, you're usually, this big glob of clay we make up, it's usually a lot that goes into it. Very rarely, occasionally there are a couple butt heads out there that are just one thing, but he's not. And, as angry as we got at him over sports,
of course,
I think most people certainly listen, and what he said yesterday resonates. This hour of our show brought to you every day by DeSoto Auto Sales. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area. They're at 5704 Goodman Road, and they're online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. Go to that website and look at the beautiful cars and look at the testimonials through the years of repeat customer after repeat customer. All the cars test-driven, all checked out thoroughly, examined bumper to bumper, unlimited inventory, every make, every model. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. They treat you like family, kind, courteous employees, laid-back atmosphere, but they guarantee you this. They care about your time. They know we live in a world today that time really matters. That's why they have it so simple and so streamlined and so efficient. They want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. You find the car you want, test drive that car, credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're out of there in a guaranteed 45 minutes or less. In time to do it over your busy lunch hour or right now, right after work. You can do it at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales.
Time for a break. When we come back, we get to what's trending. And what's trending, that's HBO Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel and Soledad O'Brien's interviews with Ashley Solis and Kyla Hayes, of course, two accusers of Deshaun Watson. We'll get to some sound on the other side. Also, we have some NFL news and notes to discuss right here on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
I often say they've set the bar for the way car business should be done at Homer Skelton Hyundai. You know how close that is. It's right there at Highway 78, Lamar Avenue, and Craft Road, the very first exit in Mississippi. I say it because they always come up with new innovations. And right now, when we've had all these shortages on new cars, Homer Skelton Hyundai is always going to come through for you. You won't pay more than the sticker price for a new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's Chris True's pledge. You'll never pay more than sticker price. Those other guys, they could charge you a whole lot more for that new car because they know there's a shortage. That never happens at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's part of the philosophy and the team that's been together for about 15 years now. You want the best of service? You want the best of products? It's the combination and the trust you'll always get from the best guys around. Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales.
I couldn't believe it either, but that thing runs like new.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
My nail tech knows how to keep it a little secret. I don't wish for my success, I speak it. I caught a buzz and you did too, but you tweaking. I look like I've been getting money, how reeking. You smell me, that's LV. Walk around with my chest out of my skin.
30 minutes left in today's show. Sports Time on Sports 56 with Gabe and Stats. I'm Gabe, he's Stats. Of course, producing the program, Bryant Dacus. Autos on listener line 901-360-8255. Get in those questions, comments, concerns before we're out of here for the day. Also message us on our social, Sports 56 WHBQ, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We've already mentioned it a few times today, but last night on HBO was, to be honest, in the Deshaun Watson case, the way this has been sort of slugging along. Obviously missed last year, haven't been a lot of updates on this whole thing, but 22 cases against him. This was the first sort of groundbreaking outward statement that has been made by any of his accusers, Ashley Solis and Kyla Hayes. Obviously, it was this, with Soledad O'Brien was conducting these interviews. And here's an excerpt of what we learned last night. This is Ashley Solis on her run-in with Deshaun Watson.
He ends up exposing himself, and I hurried up and covered him with the towel. And he said, "Oh, you don't have to worry about the towel." And I said, "Yes, I do."
So then what happened?
He requested that I work on his abdomen. But the moment I went above his navel, he told me he didn't want me to work there. He wanted me to work lower. He just kept directing me to go lower and don't be scared. You can go in there. And I just started really freezing up at this point.
Can you explain that?
Like a wave just took over my body. I felt so hot. I was sweating. It was getting more and more clear that this is not what I signed up for. This is not what I thought the session was going to be.
Now, to see the raw emotion on Ashley Solis' face and also Kyla Hayes was very, very tough last night. Now, the one thing I will say, this is 2 women out of 22 that have stepped up to talk with HBO. So there's a lot of women still waiting to hear their case or to have their case be heard.
Now, have they been in front of the grand jury?
Those 2? I'm not positive yet. I believe they have. But again, the grand jury in the situation, nothing criminal is going to be charged against Deshaun Watson. Now, This has always been a tough subject to discuss because you're talking about 22 women with one lawyer. But again, when you talk about quantity, when you talk about someone who really hasn't denied that he seeked out these massage appointments, this is 22 women. And I've always been taught when I was younger, even today, when there is smoke, there's some fire. There's something going on with Deshaun Watson and his camp and what he did while he was in Houston. And I think by the end of this, we'll get to the bottom of it. But the process to get there.
But this totality, this volume, this huge number, all with the same common denominator in the story.
Yeah, but the process to get to this point, Brett, has been mind-numbing. It's been mind-numbing.
Well, his career's on the line.
His career's on the line.
And the Browns have a lot of money wrapped up in it.
But you're talking about 22 women and one lawyer, which on even face value, Brett, that's weird. We can admit that.
A potential Hall of Fame career.
Yes, but we can admit 22 women, one lawyer is bizarre, and that's what it seems like is being attacked by the Deshaun Watson camp. Last night, again, you had Leah Graham, who's one of Watson's attorneys, talk about that and trying to raise awareness to who Tony Busby is. He's a call-in lawyer in the Houston area, right? He has his commercials out there.
They want to turn him into Avenatti.
They're trying to turn him into exactly the guy who wants to raise his Twitter following, the guy who's been on Instagram the whole time, sort of putting – and that's the most bizarre thing with Tony Busby. If you're talking about a case like this with a high-profile athlete, I don't understand why he goes out there sort of the first week that they announced that this case is being raised against Deshaun Watson. The first week he goes out on Instagram and posts all of the evidence he believes he has. This case has been bizarre from start to where we are now. And to be honest with you, I don't see the end totally in sight because we're talking about
examination
2023.
He's getting ready to go through,
and we're talking about 2023 before he's even in front of in a courtroom.
Because Rusty Hardin plays for keeps. He has a very storied past.
Mm-hmm. But I'm telling you right now, and this is not a surprise to anyone. There's no athlete that goes out there and contracts 100 separate massage therapists. It's just not a normal thing to do. What has happened here? There's obviously something going on with Deshaun Watson. There's no question about that.
The team would provide all that if you needed it.
That and the fact that you go to different massage therapists, they don't know how to work on your body the same. They don't understand where your tight spots are and how you need to be massaged and what your problem areas are. So for him to go to all these different ones one time has been the point where it's like, all right, as sketchy as the plaintiff and how this has come up, as sketchy as Tony Busby is, there's something on the Deshaun Watson side that we need to figure out about him.
Yeah, it's going to have to get sorted out. And right now, I don't see how he plays this year.
I didn't know.
Not just optics and PR, the practicality of football.
You know what? But it seems like he's gearing up.
If that matters.
He's gearing up to do so. And
it matters to him. It matters to Cleveland.
The NFL has to take it into their own hands if they're not going to have him play this year. They have to suspend him for a year or he's the That's the truth of the matter. The NFL has not shown that they're really willing to make a hardline stance on this. Now, I wonder if the MLB, Trevor Bauer, all these other things and other leagues are going to make them and force their hand to take a hardline stance. But until this point, they have said they're not going to use the exempt list, which they could have used all of last year and into this year.
And Roger Goodell looks very uncomfortable about it.
They look very, very uncomfortable. So I'm curious. I still see a possibility where he can play a majority of the games this season. I still see that possibility,
including opening day.
I don't know about opening day. I think the more I've seen, sort of the cross-examination of him in the NFL over those 3 days before he went to the Bahamas. The more I've seen on that, I would imagine a 4-game, 6-game, maybe more.
No, they didn't let him speak. His attorneys didn't let him speak, did they?
Well, I think he had to speak up for himself on certain things, but it was mostly his attorney going back and forth with the league. So we're at a weird spot with this, and I will say, from a jarring perspective, last night I expected it to be a substantial amount more groundbreaking. But if you follow this case and you've seen the women speak up, Ashley Solis has been at the very front of all of these things, and she wants her story to be heard. Nothing that came out last night was a surprise. It was basically what you've read in the transcripts and everything else. It's just sort of rehashing what Deshaun Watson has done.
Because after we get this weekend, we get this first summertime holiday over, boom, then quickly it'll be the 4th of July, and it'll be over. When it's over, that's football time.
Yeah. So,
especially for the pros, because they get them in there early.
And the Browns, I think more so than anything, learning that the Browns didn't even bother reaching out to Tony Busby, didn't bother reaching out to any of the victims in this case. The Browns look really bad. Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski, the whole 9 yards. You have to do more if you're going to end up making a trade and then signing this guy for $230.
Quit being the Browns.
But $230 million guaranteed. All of that's guaranteed to this guy after a year off because of 22 lawsuits against him.
Of course, the Browns didn't.
It's the Browns. I mean,
weren't thorough.
Yeah, of course they weren't. But they just saw the player, and they saw what can he do for me.
How they've let Baker Mayfield twist.
Yeah. Now,
because they loved him at one time.
Hey, separate discussion. I don't think Baker Mayfield's the guy of the future there in Cleveland. I think he's proven that. Separate discussion.
But he did move the tape of winning.
Yes, but here's the question. Here's the questions you have to answer for me, and most people have to answer for me if you're on the Baker Mayfield train. How many people could have done that? How many quarterbacks in this NFL could have done that? Could Jimmy G go do that and go farther? Yes. Could Jared Goff be in that position and probably go farther? Yes.
But none before him did.
That's true, but that has to do with a change of thought process in that front office and how many changes they've had. Andrew Berry spending
big on
money.
Him, and I thought he would be better than he's been.
But they spent money on Myles Garrett. They spent money and draft capital on that O-line. They spent money on the outside. OBJ, Jarvis Landry, Austin Hooper, David Njoku, all on that offense. I didn't even mention their best part of their team, their running backs, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And so
they almost could run it every down.
You could absolutely say that Baker Mayfield got them to heights that they hadn't seen in a while. But you also have to add the fact that they have everything they need to be a Super Bowl winner right this second.
This is
both
a team
things can be true.
That did draft and ran Johnny Manziel out there.
Yeah, but they didn't have near the team.
No.
Josh Gordon was the best they had catching the ball, and we saw what's happened with him.
And that was fractured.
Also, learning today, and this was also a report yesterday, Kyler Murray skipping Cardinals OTAs. What do you think ends up ultimately happening with his situation?
He plays, and he plays well, and he rings the bell.
Yeah. Which, if he plays really well, gets to a playoff appearance again this year, maybe wins a playoff game. Let's say that's the case. I think the Cardinals are going to look pretty foolish for
they have to protect
sitting
him,
back.
And he has. I know he knows how to slide because he was a great baseball player. Slide and dip it out of bounds.
But how stupid is it to sit on your hands this whole offseason when he's trying to force the issue if he ends up playing himself into a bigger contract next year? You could have got it done and got it more team friendly.
A little like the Browns. It's the Cardinals.
Yeah, I understand that. We're talking about a team that's seen one Super Bowl in the 2000s, lost it.
Thank goodness for Kurt Warner.
Yes.
And Larry Fitzgerald.
But Kyler Murray, I see a lot of people downing what he is as a NFL football player. I heard Mad Dog Russo today on ESPN downing, hey, well, you shouldn't be asking for all that. You played awful in the playoff game, but you have to understand, he has made that team better year by year by year. A two-time Pro Bowler, one time, he's a Rookie of the Year. So when we talk about number one overall picks and we talk about living up to that expectation, I would say Kyler Murray has lived up, if not surpassed the expectation for what he needed to be at this point.
Really close. I mean, it's right there. I saw this nugget about Larry Fitzgerald, and it'd be so hard to fact check it. But I heard this. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's a great nugget that he had more tackles after interceptions than he had dropped footballs.
I don't doubt that in the slide. He never
more tackles than drops.
Never dropped the ball. Larry Fitzgerald, I to think about what he did over his career and on a majority bad football teams.
Really bad.
Bad football teams. And never left, was very loyal to them for no...
Still is.
You want to know, honestly, for no real... I mean, they were good to him, I'm sure, but no real apparent reason. And the one thing that always...
And the Bidwell family's currency is not loyalty.
To be honest, I don't know if he ever got the respect he fully deserved in the NFL. Like, looking back on his career, one-time All-Pro, that should be 5 or 6, based on the
He was just once?
Just one time as an All-Pro in the NFL.
That's awful.
I mean, in every year you could probably put him in that conversation, top 3 wide receivers in the NFL, until the very end, until the tail end. But one-time All-Pro for him is robbery.
And with Kurt Warner, they almost pulled out that Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Now, last thing before we get to our final break of the day, Bill Belichick in the past. We talked to Bill Marchant about this yesterday, and I think there's a lot of people out there who know Bill Belichick, and they give it the old "in Belichick we trust" sort of narrative and thought. And Bo said the same. How worried are you for the Patriots and for Mac Jones, considering they don't have a play caller, and the guy that's leading that quarterback room for Mac Jones is Joe Judge, a guy who couldn't be judged.
I'm worried for this reason.
And Joe
that
Judge,
division, it's not the old slop East anymore.
It's true. You add the Dolphins as a real player this year, a real player. But to think about Joe Judge and Matt Patricia being the offensive voices here, the guys who could potentially be play callers, they couldn't do that they were head coaches recently. They couldn't get their offenses off the ground. The Lions' offense was atrocious. The Giants' offense was equally as bad, if not worse, ranked 32 some years under Daniel Jones. Had no chance of bringing Daniel Jones out of the gutter that he sort of built himself. So,
and
I don't know how you're supposed to trust those guys.
And this year, a bunch of tape to go around on Mac Jones, and maybe not as good offensive players around him.
I don't know how you're supposed to trust those guys to take over for a Josh McDaniels who's been there in and out for, 15, 20 years at this moment. There's Josh McDaniels not walking through the door. Charlie Weiss ain't walking through the door. Bill O'Brien.
Charlie Weiss is in Oxford with young Charlie at Ole Miss.
None of those guys are walking through the door.
I've seen him walk through the door.
And you can always lean and say, okay, Bill Belichick, we trust. He's one of the greatest of all time. I get that. But you have to acknowledge this is different than it's ever been.
Got to have help
offensively. And you have a young, impressionable quarterback. You have to be careful. Let's go ahead and get to our final break of the day. When we come back, Taco Bell Crunch Time.
You have opinions?
Well, you gotta have an opinion.
Of course you do. Everyone does. Hit us up on the AutoZone listener line, 360-8255, 360-8255.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
If you have damage to your home and have your insurance carrier involved, you need a great contractor. You also need a team that has seen claims of all shapes and sizes, residential or commercial. After our inspection, we'll share our findings and give you our professional opinion. Some people say you get what you pay for. However, our opinion is free. Trust the name you can depend on, like the tens of thousands of families Brian and I have served over the past 20 years here in the Mid-South. Brian Elder Roofing. We'll measure your roof from outer space and share our team's experience for your property and claim. Repaired roofs, replacement roofs, big roofs, tiny roofs, insurance roofs, flat roofs, TPO roofs, asphalt roofs, tile roofs, slate roofs, metal roofs. If your roof needs some love, call me, 901-867-0303 for Brian Elder Roofing and Contracting.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for the next generation of drivers, where titanium ends and the carbon age begins. Introducing the new Stealth Carbonwood driver from TaylorMade, with 60 layers of carbon twist-based technology designed for better energy transfer and faster ball speeds. Come into Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get custom fit today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops is home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, or shop us online at worldwidegolfshops.com.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales.
Let's talk some numbers here.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
I used to feel so devastated. At times I thought we'd never make it. But now we on our way to greatness. And all that ever took was patience.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
What I learned today, Adam Flagler is going to return to Baylor, and he's going to be, no doubt, one of the best guards that they put
and if
on
they're healthy,
the floor.
they'll be good.
And they're going to be good again. Drew, we know what he's done. But it really highlights, again, this offseason we've seen since NIL has been implemented. Armando Bacot returning, Caleb Love returning, Hunter Dickinson returning, Oscar Tshiebwe returning, Trace Jackson Davis returning, Chris Murray for Iowa pulling out of the NBA draft and returning here locally, DeAndre Williams and Lester Quinones returning, Kendrick Davis returning. College basketball in the NIL era, I really believe, is thriving right now, and I think it will continue to thrive through the NIL era because there's more opportunities in college basketball, so you'll see more experience and you'll see better basketball
games
because of it.
Better games, better tournament.
And we always talk, we I think, as a whole, have talked relatively negatively on some of the things that have come with NIL in football and in the FBS, but college basketball is taking a step in the right direction because of it.
It needed it. I'm glad for it. I learned that Dallas showed some pride last night. They've had a great year. We'd have taken the Western Conference Finals here in Memphis, or would have taken at least an appearance. Jason Kidd did a good job this year, but the West is going to be a lot tougher next year. I don't know when Luka Doncic and the Mavericks get back to the finals. I don't think it will be next year. So I think Memphis and Golden State this time next year will be duking it out.
Yep. If the Mavs add a piece, there's a possibility. But if they just sort of run it back and let Jalen Brunson walk,
we
and try to get
always
things,
think Cuban's going to be big in free agency, and he really never has been.
He isn't. They need a legit second star, not role players alongside Luka, because that's what we've seen so far this year. A couple of things they could have done without Cardinals. The Jordan Hicks experiment may need to be done as a starter.
Yeah.
4 losses in his last 7 outings.
When you're a starter and to the first batter with no one on, you're working from the stretch, that tells me you're not a starter.
Yes, and Ali Marmol tried to sort of give him a chance. It just seems like that's not what he is meant to do these days off of his big surgery. Now, I don't know what that means. Do you put him back into the bullpen? Do you make him a long relief guy?
Kevin Gausman was really good. I don't think anybody would have beat him last night, but I don't think Hicks is a starter either.
Also, what I could have done without. Have you seen this Ricky Williams story? Ricky Williams is back in the news Of course, a great running
Got a feeling
back.
I know where it goes. I haven't seen it.
Ended his career. I forget what year that was. It was early. I mean, he could have been one
Great
of the better running backs we've seen in the NFL. But he ended his career early. And let's be honest, is a big cannabis believer and has done a good job, in my opinion. I think we're going to view him way differently here in 10 years when it comes to sports and cannabis than we viewed him when he left the league. But regardless, he legally changed his name to Eric Myron. Now, he is an Eric.
No, I didn't see where this was going.
So
yeah, I didn't either.
I missed badly.
Ricky is based off Eric, so he is an Eric, but he goes Myron. And he said he wanted more balance in his relationship, and he took his wife's last name because he said he learned more about this relationship balance through relationship astrology class. Are either of you into astrology, guys?
No.
Either of you changed his last name to his wife's last name because of astrology?
No.
Not only am I not into astrology, I'm not into relationships.
So 0 for 2.
I'm a Taurus, guys.
I'm sure scared
I'm a
to mix them.
Pisces.
You're a Pisces. Ooh. Brett, do you know?
We're compatible.
Do you know?
I think is it Scorpio or Scorpion?
Scorpio.
Yeah,
I think
good.
Scorpio. I think
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
whatever early November is.
Okay.
I could have done without Danny Babe Ruth Jansen last night. 2 monster home runs at Busch Stadium. One off the fair pole. They call it the foul pole, but if you hit it, it's fair. And then another one that is still going deep over the bullpen, almost to Clark Street. And Vladimir Guerrero hit one that I think those 2 home runs are intersecting, one of Danny Babe Ruth Jansen's and Vlad Guerrero's. I love watching Vlad Guerrero. I love George Springer. I like the Blue Jays. They had their fans, another great showing from their fans last night. The Cardinals stole that one on Monday night. Now tomorrow night, Adam Wainwright.
Mm-hmm. What I'm looking forward to tonight, obviously Celtics versus Heat in Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals.
In Miami.
I'm looking forward to in baseball, though. Sox versus the Sox. Red versus white. You get Rich Hill versus Lucas Giolito, so that should be a fun one.
Both trying to light that fuse, trying to get a little bit of a spark. And it's not late by any means. You got to remember where the Braves were last year, under 500, and they came on. A Blue Jay fan told me last night that the Blue Jays won 3 more games last year than the Braves did, and they didn't even go to the playoffs.
Yeah. But the Sox versus Sox, they are trying to get a spark, no question.
Yeah.
The Red Sox, though, I've been trashing them all year. I really have, but they're starting to pick it up. 20-22, they have 10 games at the end of this from May to June that are very winnable against some of the worst teams, the bottom feeders. And Trevor Story, I don't know if you've seen this, but in the last 5 games, 8 for 21, 6 home runs, 17 RBIs. That'll do it for a 5-game stretch.
That's a spark for sure. Also tonight, in that Miami-Boston game, I'm going to keep an eye on Jason Tatum against Bam Adebayo. I think that's where it will be won or lost. Are we playing baseball in Hoover?
We are right now. Alabama's up 3-1 against Arkansas.
4 now. We've had some serious issues. Issues there in Hoover.
That tournament.
But also, as far as the injuries for tonight's game, Celtics versus Heat, looks like Robert Williams and Marcus Smart are available, and Tyler Hero is going to be out for the second straight game. So that certainly favors the Celtics in a whole lot of ways. But that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to Alex Kuhn, John Goen, and Colin Ward-Henninger for their contributions to the program today. For Brett, for Brian, I'm Gabe. Enjoy your night and be safe. We'll holler at you tomorrow.